I'm really hoping this is gonna work. I'm really hoping, because I have been struggling for 10 minutes to get my goddamn headphones to work. So I don't know if you can hear me. I'm hoping it works now. I'm trying to like go through it a million times. Just sound off in the goddamn comments, man. Sound off in the goddamn comments if you are here, if you are present. This is the roll call. Now we have the roll call every time. It's great. We have over 100 and something of you watching, 136. So make sure that you hit the like button. Make sure that you support by combating the algorithm, right? Drone strike it, throw a shoe at it, whatever. You know the thing. You know the thing. So if you'll excuse me just a second, I'd like to ease into the stream, right? I don't, I don't want to jump right into the murder and the bombings. We can just ease into it, right? Slowly. Good. I'm seeing you guys in the in the comments sounding off. Wonderful. It's so beautiful to see you, right? It's so beautiful to see you as we discuss the neocon agenda of the day. So we also got a couple people watching on Rockfin. Thank you very much for supporting on Rockfin. If you are not signed up yet on Rockfin, I highly recommend you do. You'll find all of your favorite lefties already there. And it's free, right? You can subscribe. It's like Netflix. You'll get everyone's premium. So that includes all the people I'm going to put up on the screen now. So here we go. You can see Nico, Jimmy Dore, Combo Couch, Graham Elwood, yours truly, and unauthorized disclosure, Ron Placone, Hardlands Media. So everything will be okay. Is the audio all right? Because I feel like maybe there's something going on with the audio, but I'm not sure. I'm never sure. So anyway, let's get into the bombings, right? Yo, I did it. I think we're good now. Yo, I got some static issues and whatnot. Shame on me as a sound guy, right? I should have checked the goddamn audio firsthand. I had such confidence that everything's fine. Can't the CIA just let you do your shit in peace? No, I'm just kidding. It was a cable. I love that you guys didn't go away. One of you said in the comments, like, have faith, ye mortals. Good on you for sticking around, right? There's nothing better than a bunch of your people just tolerating your technical difficulties. All right, so I'm just gonna post over here that we're live. Good thing I didn't do that before, otherwise people would have shown up to a black screen. I need like we're experiencing technical difficulties problem, you know. I need one of those as a screen or something. Anyway, so let's. I think we've eased into the bombing now, right? let's do it, man. And again, shout out to everyone who's watching on Rockfin. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate all of you guys and your patience. So, by the way, I get an email for some reason when I go live. I get an email notification. Do you guys get an email notification? I don't remember even turning that on for myself, but if I get it, then you can get it, right? Okay. Okay. Here we go. So let's get into it. Right. So Joe Biden, as you all know, bombed Syria, right? He decided to cement himself as a warmonger within the first 30 days in office. I can't believe he let Israel wait that long. How rude. And of course, the squad is silent. Now, I can already hear the trolls in the comments, right? Going, how dare you? Remember that was Ray William Johnson's troll back in the day? Where's that guy, by the way? So Ilhan Omar, I know, she issued a statement. Yes, how brave of her to condemn the president for illegally bombing another country. I bet that took real guts. So I'll read it to you in a second. Right? I'm hoping that we're not going to have any more sound problems now. Let's try and rectify that. Yes. So I'm going to switch over and you tell me if everything is working fine. Okay. I love how I went full boomer mode now. Okay, so first things first. Let's take a trip down memory lane, shall we? So this is Joe Biden. This is Joe Biden in 2019. Look what he says. Trump's erratic, impulsive actions are the last thing we need as commander-in-chief. No president should order a military strike without fully understanding the consequences. We don't need another war in the Middle East. But Trump's actions toward Iran only make that more likely. Wow, such strong words. I'm glad that Joe Biden is still living by those words. Yes? Really demonstrates consistency and principles, right? Here's his press secretary. I think I showed you this after he decided to bomb my country. So Jen Psaki, right? She's the White House spokesperson. She wrote this in 2017. She asked, what is the legal authority for strikes? Bashar al-Assad is a brutal dictator, but Syria is a sovereign country. Wow. How nice of you. How nice of you to recognize us as a sovereign country. Now, look, when she's spitting facts. Syria is a sovereign country. Stop bombing us. Okay. But where is that now when it matters, when she's actually the White House spokesperson? Where is it? I'm not seeing it. Now, more to the point, here is specifically when Donald Trump bombed Syria in 2018, right? In April 2018, this was with the United Kingdom, with France. You recall this was over the alleged chemical gas attack that did not take place in Duma. So this chemical gas attack, it took place when, I'm not even going to get into the whole thing. Go watch the other videos countless videos that I've done, but it was faked. And we know this because the team that was sent there by the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, the OPCW team leader, and another anonymous whistleblower themselves told us so. There was no chemical gas attack, and their reports were censored. But the United States and the UK and France didn't even wait for a report to come out. This was just a few days later. They just arbitrarily decide, yeah, a chemical gas attack took place. Let's go bomb Syria, right? The OPCW didn't even arrive yet. There was no team on the ground. And here's what Kamala Harris said at the time. I strongly support our men and women in uniform, and believe me, we must hold Assad accountable. How many times have you heard that? We must hold Assad accountable? Like a goddamn million times, right? It's just one of their boring phrases. It never gets old, right? Iraq has WMDs, weapons of mass destruction, weapons of mass destruction. We must hold Assad accountable for his unconscionable use of chemical weapons, which did not happen, by the way. But I am deeply concerned about the legal rationale of last night's strikes. Wow. You know, when a public prosecutor, a state prosecutor tells you that they are concerned with the legal rationale of something, you better be scared, right? Remember Kamala Harris once sent parents warning letters for truancy, huh? And she jailed some of them. She's not fucking around. No, but seriously, where is this attitude now? She's the vice president. I mean, you know, what the fuck? You cannot ask for a better position. What are you doing exactly to question the legal rationale of something? You're the vice president now, and Biden just bombed Syria. Nothing. Silence. I saved the best for last. Here's our firebrand congresswoman. You remember the specific congresswoman from Queens, Bronx, who was sent to challenge Democrats specifically? What is she famous for? She unseated the number 3 Democrat, Crowley. Not for going after Republicans. That's the same old shtick. Any Democrat can do that. Anyone can do that. That's easy. But AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she was fired because she unseated a Democrat, right? She was holding protests outside Pelosi's office. Here's what she said. Here's the profound danger of what we just did in Syria. A mad king president with majority disapproval of Americans just decided to bomb a nation without the constitutional requirement of congressional approval. Democrats who take war money pass the laws allowing that. And we'll get to those laws in a second, won't we? So it's remarkable, right? It's remarkable how all of these people who are still in government, as a matter of fact, they've just gotten promotions to president, vice president, right? They've become solidified. They've solidified their role in history. All these people, Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, even Joe Biden's White House spokesperson, AOC, all these people, they criticized Trump for bombing Syria. And now when Biden bombs Syria, silence. Silence. Not a little condemnation, just fucking silence. Nothing. They act like it didn't happen. Not a word. Not a fucking word. You know, among the list of things, if you made a list of things that would warrant a reaction, any reaction, I'm pretty sure that bombing another country is way up there, right? I'm pretty sure. No. Orange Cheeto Man does it, we'll criticize him, rightfully so. But when the head of Team Blue does it, no, we're not going to say anything. We're not even going to acknowledge it. Syria? What's Syria? You remember that? You remember Black Bush by Dave Chappelle? When he gets asked, like, what do you say to those people that say you're going to Iraq for oil? Oil? What? Bitch, you cook it? And he just runs away. What is this? Where is this now? I think it's a reasonable question to ask, you know, being a Syrian. Maybe you should be asking that question too, especially as an American. It's your money. These are your politicians. Aren't you worried about their hypocrisy? That's striking hypocrisy. I mean, it's unbelievable, right? It's fucking nuts. Like, you knew that they were going to give Biden a pass on everything. And here it is. Here it is. They're not even saying a word. Nothing. The only person who said anything, I think Ro Khanna issued something, right? Whether you consider him part of the squad or not, I don't know what the exact membership requirements are for the squad. But Ilhan Omar, okay, she's the only one who said something. Now you can look at this. I'm going to read it to you, and you can tell me if you consider this adequate. But I'm going to read it to you nonetheless. Okay, so she issued a statement about Biden dropping bombs on Syria, and here's what she said. She said, "I'm deeply concerned about the legal justification of the airstrikes in Syria. Military action in a country where Congress has not authorized war is unconstitutional in almost all circumstances. So once again, as usual, I will tell you that even if it were authorized by Congress, even if it were constitutional, your constitution doesn't mean shit in the other 190 plus countries on this planet. Just a reality check, okay? Your constitution maybe means something in your country, but there are other countries on this planet, a lot of them. So the appropriate deferment is to go to international law. And yes, they are also, and first and foremost, illegal under international law, right? So you can look at Article 2.4 of the United Nations Charter, which specifically outlines that you cannot just go around bombing people because you don't like them, okay? So Article 2, Section 4, all members shall refrain in their international relations from the threat or use of force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any state or in any other manner inconsistent with the purposes of the United Nations. Of course, we know the United States and Britain and their allies don't really care about international law to begin with. But nonetheless, let's be consistent a little bit. Just let's try a little, right? So going back to Ilhan Omar's statement, right? So she says, just give me 1 second over here. 1 sec. Right. So she says that the administration must provide a legal rationale for why these strikes met the high bar for military action without congressional approval. Okay. And then she also goes on to talk about the AUMF, right? So I brought this up last time. I told you that this is what they use. This is their blank check, their carte blanche since the Bush administration. And you know, I'm pretty sure that what AOC was referring to here when she says Democrats who take war money pass the laws allowing that, she's referring to the AUMF back in 2018, right? This is the AUMF over here, okay? So they passed this in 2001. There's another one in 2002 for Iraq. And, you know, it's basically saying that, oh, you know, the president has sweeping powers to just do whatever the hell he likes. Why? In the name of the war on terror, right? Do you understand now why that's such a risky thing and why people are rightfully concerned that when Democrats talk about passing domestic terror laws, they're worried about shit like this happening again, where you just give the president sweeping powers to kill, drone strike, assassinate, spy on, invade whoever they like? Do you understand why people are rightfully concerned about that? Because we already seen this shit show before. Yeah. When the United States creates wars on something, on some kind of abstract enemy that cannot be defeated and is, you know, a huge waste of resources, but a lot of money for the private sector and corporations. And, you know, it's never ultimately defeated. Just like the war on drugs, the war on terror, you know, same old, right? Just a cover used to advance corporate and imperialist agendas. So that's what they're referring to. And, you know, she says here that, okay, Syria has been gripped by a proxy war and a civil conflict. I mean, listen, I'm glad that she's, you know, inching a little towards the truth. It would be nice if she also recognized the United States' role in that conflict in funding all of these jihadist groups. I'd also appreciate her recognizing her buddy Erdogan, Turkey's role in also funding other jihadists. Turkey's currently occupying northern Syria, Idlib. This is like the last jihadist stronghold in Syria. What the fuck is Turkey doing in Syria? What is any other country doing in Syria? Go home. This is absurd. Nonetheless, right? We have to take the wins as they come. You know that's the saying they use. So it's great that she's sort of condemning it. Where are the consequences, though? Right? Because if you listen to Ilhan Omar and her fellow Democrats in the squad, and you listen to just the entire Democratic Party, really, during the last months, what have they been saying about Trump? Specifically the last months. What have they been saying? Although they've been saying this for the last years, but specifically, they've been saying the democratic institutions of the United States have come under attack, right? Literally. And that the Constitution must be protected and upheld. And, you know, the Republic is imperiled. Oh, my God, oh, my God, oh, my God. You know, they keep emphasizing the importance of upholding democratic institutions. Yes? Where is it? Where is it now that Biden has gone behind your back? You as a congressperson, especially as a congressperson, he's gone behind your back and attacked another country. How are you not outraged at this? You don't say a word? Not a word? How do you rationalize that? How do you explain that? I mean, either you're not doing your job or you're a lying dog-faced pony soldier. That's really what it comes down to. That's the only way at least I can explain this. Why AOC? Why Ayanna Pressley? Why Rashida Tlaib? Winik ya akhti. Where are you, sister? My Palestinian sister. Aren't you going to stand up for us in Syria? No? Okay. Aren't you going to stand up for your own constitution in the US? No? Okay. Weird. I really thought that the entire Democratic Party were so concerned with upholding their democracy. Apparently, though, when a Democrat president does it, when he goes behind their backs to attack another country, doesn't matter, right? Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, we'll just use the AUMF to justify whatever, man. Actually, we're not even going to talk about it. What's Syria? Never heard of it. They're just so good at their games, aren't they? They're just so good. But it's okay, guys. You know why? I've told you why. Now we have diversity, right? So honestly, I think this is photoshopped. I know it's been retweeted a bunch of times, but I've seen the original picture without this. I love the Boeing. You can't really see it, but if you see the Boeing has a rainbow in it, it's like barely visible. And there's a Black Lives Matter sticker on the payload. It's a decal rather, right? And I think that's a transgender flag too. And it speaks to the Rainbow Coalition Death Cult thing, right? I don't have the T-shirt on me right now, but you know the thing. Literally, you know the thing. That's what it is, right? They've put a bunch of women in charge of key positions now: vice presidency, director of national intelligence, head of the OMB, Neera Tanden, and deputy head of the OMB, Shalanda. They've put a bunch of women in place, and they've also put a black man in charge of the Pentagon to keep you quiet when they go and bomb other countries, right? And they've lifted the transgender ban as well. So I'm assuming that's the relation to the flag. So, you can have more women in key positions and people of color in key positions, and you can have more transgender people in the military now after they've lifted Trump's ban. But the policy is not changing, right? That's not diverse. That's consistent. So consistent, it doesn't even change from Trump. It's literally the same. Like, it doesn't even deviate one iota. It's like, we're going to keep sanctioning Syria using Trump's sanctions, the Caesar Act. We're going to keep stealing Syria's oil and building new bases. And we're going to keep on bombing Syria. No fucking difference. None. Wow. I'm really feeling the lesser of two evils right now. It's really like tingling in there, I love it. Especially as a Syrian, I'm really feeling it, right? I'm feeling the unity. I'm so united with you. It's really unbelievable. People keep sending me like pictures or tweets from liberals who are trying to justify the bombings. And you have this one over here saying bombing is generally bad, but bombing isn't always bad. Biden's strike wasn't bad bombing even slightly. What? No, it's actually very, very bad. Like, there's something called the United Nations and the United Nations Charter, international law. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. Yeah, that's very bad. There's also something called your Constitution. Have you read it? I don't know. War Powers Act 73. No, you don't know any of this? It's very bad, actually. Also, what the fuck are you doing in Syria? Like, who appointed you to judge what is bad and not bad? Is it okay if Syria bombs you and then decides what is bad and not bad bombing inside of the United States? Who the fuck are you? I'm really curious. Are you Syrian? Like, what is your relationship to this issue exactly, that you can decide it's bad bombing or good bombing? Do you know any of the victims? Do you know who died? Do you even know who Biden bombed? I'm certain you don't know who Biden bombed. You know why? Because the people that Joe Biden bombed in Syria, these so-called Iranian-backed militias, right? This, once again, the catchphrase. They love using that because they don't want to tell you that these Iranian-backed militias are the Hashd al-Sha'bi, the PMU, Popular Mobilization Units, right? So the Popular Mobilization Units are hated by ISIS. They've kicked ISIS ass. Okay, we say Daesh also. We don't like to call ISIS a state. They're not a state, are they? It's Daesh. So Joe Biden. No. Let's backtrack a bit to last year. Donald Trump assassinates General Qasem Soleimani, who's head of the Quds force, right? He also, in the same attack, assassinates Abu Mahdi al-Muhandis, which you probably not all heard a lot about, but is very important because they're working together all the time. And Abu Mahdi al-Muhandis, he's a senior commander in, guess what? The PMU, right? So Donald Trump goes and assassinates two of the main figures who have helped to crush ISIS in Iraq and in Syria, who've helped to liberate ISIS from this fucking cancer of ISIS, right? And you're celebrating another bombing now of the same people who helped to liberate Syria and Iraq from ISIS. You do know that like, I'm curious, what is, like, I'm fucking flabbergasted. It really beggars belief. Like, you just can't rationalize this kind of shit. They want to defend him so badly. They just want to defend Biden so fucking badly. They're ready to, like, even indirectly align themselves with fucking ISIS. It's incredible. It's truly incredible. So, by the way, here is Qasem Soleimani on the left, and that's Abu Mahdi al-Muhandis, right? So he's Iraqi, and Soleimani is Iranian. And Trump assassinated them both in Baghdad when they were on a diplomatic mission to meet with the Iraqi government. And he just illegally assassinated them, right? I mean, there were jihadists literally celebrating it. I'm not saying that figuratively. You can Google it. You will see they actually released statements celebrating Trump's assassination of them because the PMU have been so successful in kicking their asses, right? I mean, you can just look up. There are tons of articles about this. Specifically, look, this from Business Insider. Meet the Iraqi PMU, one of the greatest threats against ISIS. This is 2016. This is when they were taking back Mosul in Iraq. I mean, it just goes on. And to this day, they're still there. They're still resisting against not just ISIS, but of course, American occupation, right? One of their stated goals is to rid their land of American occupation, which is, again, legal under international law. This is your right. If someone invades your country, you can defend yourself against them. That's your right under international law. It's enshrined in international law. Every human being has that right. So, you know, when the United States talks about defending itself in Iraq, what the fuck does that mean? Is Iraq part of your territory? What do you, your colonizers? Yeah, okay, I guess then that makes sense. And of course, you know, secretly, that's exactly what they are. Well, you know, not even secretly, just openly say, yeah, we're not going anywhere. Because you remember, after Trump assassinated Qasem Soleimani and Abu Mahdi, the Iraqi parliament voted to kick out all foreign troops. They're like, we had enough of this shit. You know, it's been like, 17, 16 years now you've been in our country. Has Donald Trump gone anywhere? No. Joe Biden is president now. Is he leaving? No. And it's unbelievable how people try to, like, they don't even know what the fuck they're cheering on. They're so ignorant, right? They just hear the word Iran and it's like, oh, they associate it with evil. Yes, that means Biden did good. What the fuck are you smoking? What? No. How can you be so dumb? Shame on you. Shame on you, seriously. This really speaks to the power of propaganda, the power of brainwashing. It's fucking remarkable, right? And you can see here the defense secretary, remember, our new black man in the Pentagon, who also happens to be a former board member of Raytheon, the weapons manufacturer. Totally not a conflict of interest, I promise you, pinky promise. So here's what he had to say about the strike just after, right? I think it's important. This is the first military action by the Biden administration. So let's listen to the first statement about this first military action from none other than the defense secretary, Lloyd Austin. So hold on a second. I'm not sure you can hear the audio. Let's try that again. Give me 1 second. Excuse me.
There's not much more that I'll be able to add at this point, other than the fact that we're confident in the target that we went after. We know what we hit. And we're confident that that target was being used by the same Shia militia that conducted the strikes. And so you'll get more information in terms of the effects of the strike as time goes by. But I just wanted to make sure that, you know, I gave you that viewpoint from me, that level of confidence that there is connectivity. And so we're very deliberate about our approach, as you would expect us to be. We allowed and encourage the Iraqis to investigate and develop intelligence, and that was very helpful to us in refining the target. And let me just finally say that I'm really proud of the men and women in our force who carried out the strike. As you would expect, they performed in a very professional manner, and we're grateful for their service.
Wow. Nice, right? I love hearing the same old propaganda just from a different face. It's beautiful. So you notice he starts out by saying, we're confident we hit. It's like gibberish at first. Yeah, you know, the target that we striked, you know, the strike was at that specific target, and it was, we can confirm that there was a strike. He sounds like fucking George Bush a little, right? So he's saying it's Shiite militias or Shia militias, right? Of course, again, it's either one of the two, Iranian-backed militias, Shia militias. No, it's not. Dude, the PMU, the Popular Mobilization Units, they're also called PMF, Popular Mobilization Forces. The Hashd al-Shabi. It's not Iranian troops. These are local people resisting occupation, right? They're not just Shia. They could be Sunni. They could be Christian or Druze. Like, this is just propaganda nonsense. Also, again, I ask you this question. Let's imagine, for argument's sake, that 110% of them were Shia. Does that mean you can go and kill them? What kind of a fucking argument is that? What are you doing in Syria, you motherfucker? Go and mind your fucking business. You live on the other side of the planet, you fuck. What are you doing in Iraq? What are you doing in Iran, you warmongering piece of shit? Fuck you. I don't care if you were bombing sheep. I don't care if there were 0 casualties. Take your bombs and go home. We're not having a fucking debate here. This isn't rocket science, no pun intended. I don't want to hear your bullshit propaganda, your lies and justifications and pretexts and excuses for bombing another country. What is wrong with you? Holy shit. I'm so glad that AOC rebuked this propaganda, right? I'm so glad that the squad, they're holding Biden accountable, just like I told you they would, right? There's such hacks, man. There's such hacks. Not a goddamn word. Not a goddamn word. Look, I don't see anything on her Twitter. I don't see anything. I see the checks, right? We're talking about the filibuster. There's Al Green, again, talking about the GOP. Okay. Is there anything about Syria here? I don't see anything. I don't see a word. I don't see anything. How is that normal? How is that your party leader, your president bombs another sovereign nation and you say nothing? Are we surprised? No. This shows, I know you hate to hear this. I know it's hard to believe. You still want to give him chances. You still want to, she's a party hack. She is a party hack, AOC. I mean, once again, if there's a list of things where you would really put your party aside and, you know, stand firm and be like, no, I do not tolerate this. This is wrong. I'm pretty sure that committing an act of war, right? Bombing another country is tantamount to a declaration of war. There are world wars that have been started over much less. Okay, right? This is a bombing with fucking jets, right? Dropping a payload, F-15s. And you say nothing? This shows she's willing to put her party, Joe Biden, Democratic leadership, first. She's saying, fuck the Constitution, fuck the people of Syria, fuck my constituents, fuck everyone who believed in me. No, Joe Biden comes first. I will not criticize him. I will not even mention that he bombed Syria. I mean, could there be any greater cowardice than this? What do you expect from someone who stumped for Joe Biden, who literally told you to go and vote for someone who started the Iraq War, which is 1,000,000 trillion times worse, infinitely more worse? It's not even comparable to what just happened, right? Although you could reasonably make the argument that the entire situation in Syria is spillover from the war in Iraq. It is, right? It's all connected. What cowardice, really. And it's not just her. It's every single person, right? They were all ready to criticize Trump for the same thing. Great. Now they say nothing. Wow. Now the Constitution doesn't mean anything, right? All of a sudden. Now they don't mind the AUMF. These broad sweeping powers let the president just do whatever the fuck he wants. Whatever. International law? I have no clue what you're talking about. So again, I'll give Ilhan Omar some credit. Although I don't understand why you need to give people credit for doing their bare minimum, the bare minimum. She's not even saying let's impeach Biden or let's hold him accountable. She's just saying I'm against it. hold on, you're the fucking lawmaker. It's your job to hold him accountable. What are you doing? I can also be against it, but I'm not a lawmaker. You are. You are the one who has to hold him accountable. That's your job. He literally went behind your back and bombed another country. Oh my God. And she talks about the AUMF. Okay, are there any plans to repeal the AUMF? Are you going to actually do something to get rid of it? Are you going to propose any legislation? No fucking way. Why would they ever do that? They're not going to touch that. That's their cash cow, literally, right? Makes money for wars. It's their legal justification, although it means jack shit. It's literally like, look at it. It's 2 pages long. It's 2 pages long, and they murdered millions of people from this fucking piece of toilet paper. Look how many, just think of how many lives have been destroyed in Afghanistan, in Iraq, in Yemen, in Libya, in Syria. Oh my God, the list just goes on. I want to cry. I really do. With this piece of toilet paper. Look at it. Look how long it is. And of course, you have the follow-ups. But do you think they're going to repeal this? Of course not. Why would they do that? No. Now there's a blue man doing the bombing, not Orange Cheeto Man. So everything is fine. Go back to sleep. Shh. Exemplary. Wow. Don't worry, there's more. So, I'm just going to read your super chats. Thank you very much for your support. Before we get into the next segments, by the way, we have 510 people watching. MashaAllah. Only 308 likes. Pump up those numbers, man. Come on. Pump up the volume. Pump up the volume. So let's go, guys. I'm going to read your super chats and let's get those numbers working. Jasmine or Yasmin sent a super chat. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. There's no note attached, but nonetheless, thank you. And Levon Huey says, if any country retaliates against the United States, aim for Langley, Virginia. By the way, if I recall, again, I may be wrong on this, but I think Langley is just a Hollywood term for it. I mean, yes, it's technically Langley, but there's another specific address for it. Anyway, never mind. I don't want to know. I feel you though. Again, you know why they want to try Julian Assange, and the court, the espionage court, where they try all the, political dissidents like Chelsea Manning, Julian Assange. That's why Gary McKinnon, even. That's why they do it in Virginia, right? Because that's where all the CIA and their families work. So that way you guarantee the jury is made up of people who either work directly in the intelligence community or they have family and friends in the intelligence community. Yeah, they're really smart with that, aren't they? Yeah, clever dicks. Just really go look up the indictments. It's on online. You can see it on their websites, right? At the Department of Justice. You can see the indictment against Julian Assange, against Chelsea Manning, against Gary McKinnon, Lori Love, all of them. They're all done in the Eastern District Court of Virginia. What a coincidence. Wow, there's something special about that place, right? So, like, they couldn't find any other courthouses in the entire continental United States. Crazy. So, Kristen says, I'm sorry this has to be so painful for you to go through being from Syria. Thank you so much for your insight and forthright statements. I appreciate that very much from you, and also everyone who's shown support. I'm trying to laugh about it, man. It's like, I'm trying to keep it, I'm trying to stay focused and just point out all the hypocrisy and how they're just a bunch of imperialists, because it is upsetting. It's really infuriating. I fucking hate this. And, I also feel the same way. Sometimes I feel even worse for other countries, right? Like, I don't know anyone from Yemen personally. I've never been there. I've never been to Iraq. I've never been to Libya, and that hurts, right? I've never been to Afghanistan. I have when I was a kid, but I don't actually know anyone from Afghanistan. And yet when I'm reading these war crime reports and looking at these photographs, I did a broadcast for television the other week about war crimes in Afghanistan by the Australian SAS and the British SAS. I mean, how can you look at that and not, it's just. So anyway, thank you. I appreciate that. Holly says, thank you in solidarity with Syria. Absolutely. Assembly Holly. And Kyle says, who's better, the Republicans or AOC? In what way? I mean, In what way? It's one big club, man. It's one big club, and you ain't in it. That's the truth. There's no better or worse. They're all working together, literally working together. I mean, it's a war criminal club. I don't even understand how you can work there. I mean, I would vomit if I had to go and look at war criminals, every fucking day. No, I'm not doing that for my sanity. And never mind for, it's just you can't reason with these people. They're bought, they're corrupt, all of them. And if you're not bought and corrupt, then you will end up assimilating and being co-opted by them, which is perhaps what happened to AOC and others. I'm not saying that they were born bad people or something. I'm just saying that they're not doing their jobs. And this is beyond not doing your job. This is like you're literally helping to bomb other countries. I mean, you're a fucking criminal. People are going to say, "Oh, this is a stretch." It's really not a stretch. If you look at what the Allies did after World War II, right? When they tried the Nazis at Nuremberg, they didn't just go after senior leadership. They tried fucking everyone, right? I mean, yes, it's mainly senior leadership, right? But they went after everyone, judges, mayors. They hunted down everyone. Like you were involved in that corrupt, disgusting, genocidal, maniacal regime. We're coming for you. You're going to face justice. But now it's become so normal for the United States to just bomb whoever it wants without any excuse, unprovoked, just invading countries for decades. No one even questions that. Like the thought that these people will be brought to justice it doesn't even enter people's minds, right? Why would we do that? We're the good guys, right? Why would we do that? No, you're not, right? Justice doesn't exist if you're British or you're American and you bomb other countries. It doesn't exist for you, right? We saw that in the UK. You can go look at Tony Blair. In 2017, the High Court decided that there's no, get this, right? So I think I'm gonna record this because look, I just want to explain to you the hypocrisy again. If you're a British or American politician, there's no justice for you. You can commit war crimes and bomb other countries. There's no justice, right? And you look at the High Court decision in 2017. What happened? The United Kingdom is a party to the Rome Statute, right? The Rome Statute in 1998, it creates the International Criminal Court. There are three main crimes at the time, right? So genocide, crimes against humanity, and war crimes. And later on, they add a fourth one, which is crimes of aggression, which is like the Iraq War, the war in Afghanistan. When you just bomb and invade another country because you don't like who's in charge there, which is what happened, right? And we're still in those wars right now, right this minute. So the UK ratifies the treaty and the first three ones, but when they get to crime of aggression, they don't ratify it. And then the judges in the High Court say, well, look, there's no equivalent of crimes of aggression in UK law, so therefore we can't try Tony Blair for invading Iraq. He has to go free. What the fuck? And then you look at Julian Assange, who's exposed war crimes in those very same exact wars started by Tony Blair, who helped with George Bush to invade Afghanistan, to invade Iraq. Remember the coalition of the willing? The exact same wars. He exposes war crimes committed by the Americans and their allies, covering up torture, killing civilians, you name it. And he's rotting away in a UK jail in London, in Belmarsh. I mean, explain that shit to me, how that is justice. You call that justice? I mean, the whole time, since I've been covering this extradition hearing for Julian Assange, I mean, there's not a day that goes by and I'm wondering why the hell is Jack Straw not sitting in that cabinet, the dock. It's like a glass box they put you in, right? Julian was in this glass box. Why is he not there, right? Why is Donald Rumsfeld not there? Where are the criminals? Like, we're talking about killings and torture. Where are the people who did this? We know who they are. Why aren't they here? What is going on? No, can't have it. No. They'll fucking weasel their ways out of all sorts of accountability, domestically, internationally. Yeah. Right? There's no real justice. No, there's nothing. You can be a war criminal, all right? No justice for you. Crazy. And then they come along and they say that they're nation building, right? They go and invade Afghanistan, they invade Iraq, they bomb Syria, they bomb Libya, and they claim that they're bringing law and order, like the same colonial mantra, like, oh, the white man is here, boy. You savages must learn from us, yes? You can't run things, apparently, so we have to teach you, yes? Like, you don't even have law and order back fucking home. Who the fuck are you? to come and lecture Arabs or lecture Afghanis or Iranians or anyone or the Chinese about, law and order and democracy and talk about nation building. Go build your own fucking nation and do it this time without stealing and plundering half of the goddamn planet. Oh, my bad. 25%, right? Under the British Empire. 25%. I mean, the hypocrisy is just staggering. Like, you really have to take a step back every day, every minute, and look at it that way, because otherwise you're going to get caught up in their bullshit. Okay, so we have a super chat over here from Truthaholic Moses. It says, Islam bombed the Parthenon in Greece. Do you have any idea who will destroy the Parthenon in Nashville, Tennessee? No, I do not. But I do recall there was a weird explosion around Christmas. Do you remember that? Around the AT&T Center? I think Ben Norton did a little... I don't know if he did a piece on it or was just tweeting about it. I can't remember exactly. But he posted something about it. He had some commentary, right? And people were saying that this is like some kind of NSA site. You remember the Snowden leaks? We found out that AT&T have these like specific rooms just for the NSA to come in with no windows and just plug into their shit. So people suspect that was one of those places. But again, it's like we never heard anything about it again. Weird, right? Just like no clue what happened. Weird. I don't know, but that's the first thing I thought about Nashville. Also, Nashville, Tennessee. That's home of country music, right? So I'm not a country fan, specifically. You can see grass from behind me, but the blues are good, man. The blues are good. They make the Gibson guitars also in Tennessee, don't they? Over in Memphis, is it? Where's the Gibson plant? Don't they have two? I don't know. Anyway, so Twitch Grip says, I hate our government in the United States. My aunt was a press secretary in the 80s. Second son of the king of Kuwait had her murdered. The FBI covered it up. It never ends. Holy shit. And I mean, that's awful, man. I'm really sorry. And actually, I don't know if you're bringing that up incidentally because of Khashoggi, which I'm about to get to in a second. But, I'm again, not surprised. There's no such thing as empathy or humanity for these people. They're just, that's why they're called suits, right? G-men. They just robots. They're droids. There's no functioning, there's no goddamn feelings whatsoever. I'm so sorry to hear that. And I'm going to get to Khashoggi in a second. Give me 1 second over here. So I'm just going to close this out. Thank you to everyone who's watching on Rockfin. By the way, we got a super chat or a tip on Rockfin. From Emblem Fate saying, I've been pissed about this kind of stuff for years. We talked about Iraq. I say Libya did to Africa what Iraq did to the Middle East, meaning there's been an uprise in African militia like Boko Haram with Libyan weapons. Nobody will ever touch these issues. I appreciate your work, Rich. Thank you, Emblem Fate. I see what you're saying. Like, basically, I agree with you. Just like Iraq was destabilized and then you had jihadists spilling over into Syria and, many of them have found their way not just to Idlib, but now they're being taken in planes by Turkey or, to Libya. Exactly. And yeah, just like Iraq destabilized the region, the invasion of Iraq, not Iraq, the Iraqi people, the invasion of Iraq destabilized the region. So did the overthrow of Gaddafi and, Hillary Clinton jumping for joy. Remember that? Yeah. I'm pretty sure the slave trade, the people that are being slave traded now in Libya are not too happy about that, right? Or the people who've been turned into refugees they're not happy about that either. And the people that are, suffering under all these various jihadist groups that have just, magically sprouted out of nowhere, they're also not happy. It's devastating the region, right? And you have an entire shadow war going on in Africa right now, just on the border of the sub-Saharan region, that is not even reported about adequately. And I need to do my part more in that regard. So I acknowledge that. And that's also a great comment, Emblem Fate. Now, I want to move on to the next topic, right? And then, of course, I thank you very much for supporting the show and all your comments and support. Thank you. So, all right. So Jamal Khashoggi, he's the Saudi journalist, worked for the Washington Post. He covered the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan, 79, 89. He was very close to the Saudi Arabian royal family, and later fell out. And then he kind of sort of exiled himself to the US, right? I think around 2017. And in 2018, Mohammed bin Salman, MBS, he had him assassinated, right? Where? In Turkey, in Istanbul, right? So he was going to, Khashoggi, he was going to the Saudi consulate to pick up a certificate that he's divorced so that he can marry his Turkish fiancée, if I recall correctly, and he never came out. They killed him and they chopped up his body and got rid of him. Keep in mind, this guy's a US resident, okay? Now, we've just had a report released by the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. Remember, there's a woman heading it now, Avril Haines, co-author, let's say, of the Obama drone program. Yeah, her, former deputy of the CIA. Oh, I love me some diverse imperialists, don't you? So now the US government is saying that, yes, it's true. It's confirmed in their opinion. I mean, we've known this for years, but the US government is admitting, at least publicly now, that they know Mohammed bin Salman, the crown prince of Saudi Arabia, murdered Khashoggi, a Saudi journalist living in the United States. Okay, so I want to show you this now. And here's the report. Okay, so this was published by the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. All right. So it's very short, actually. I'll just read you the main points. So they say here, we assess that Saudi Arabia's crown prince, Mohammed bin Salman, approved an operation in Istanbul, Turkey, to capture or kill Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi. We base this assessment on the crown prince's control of decision-making in the kingdom since 2017, the direct involvement of a key advisor and members of Mohammed bin Salman's protective detail in the operation, RIF, and the crown prince's support for using violent measures to silence dissidents abroad, including Khashoggi. Since 2017, the crown prince has had absolute control of the kingdom's security and intelligence organizations, making it highly unlikely that Saudi officials would have carried out an operation of this nature without the crown prince's authorization. Okay? So, I mean, that's pretty much just common sense, the last part, at the very least. But nonetheless, so the first point, at the time of the Khashoggi murder, this is October 2018, the crown prince probably fostered an environment in which aides were afraid that failure to complete assigned tasks might result in him firing or arresting them. This suggests that the aides were unlikely to question Mohammed bin Salman's orders or undertake sensitive actions without his consent. Wait, hold on a second. You mean like a sort of authoritarian? Oh no, I thought only Syria had those people and Iran. What are you talking about? We're allied. The United States is allied with Saudi Arabia. Oh no. The 15-member Saudi team that arrived in Istanbul on October 2nd, 2018, included officials who worked for or were associated with the Saudi Center for Studies in Media Affairs, or at the Royal Court. At the time of the operation, CS Mark was led by Saud Al-Qahtani, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, a close advisor of Mohammed bin Salman, who claimed publicly in mid-2018 that he did not make decisions without the crown prince's approval. Okay, so you get the picture here. This guy has total control of not just the country, but the security detail and everyone around him. They don't do anything without his consent. So, I mean, if Saudi officials assassinated Khashoggi, which we know they did, then he did. He ordered it. He okayed it, right? The team also included 7 members of Mohammed bin Salman's elite personal protective detail, known as the Rapid Intervention Force, the RIF, a subset of the Saudi Royal Guard, which exists to defend the crown prince. It answers only to him, and had directly participated in earlier dissident suppression operations, both in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and abroad at the Crown Prince's discretion or direction. We judged that members of the RAF would not have participated in the operation against Khashoggi without Mohammed bin Salman's approval. Okay. Now, the Crown Prince viewed Khashoggi as a threat to the kingdom and broadly supported using violent measures, if necessary, to silence him. Although Saudi officials had pre-planned an unspecified operation against Khashoggi, we do not know how far in advance Saudi officials decided to harm him. We have high confidence that the following individuals participated in, ordered, or were otherwise complicit in or responsible for the death of Jamal Khashoggi on behalf of MBS. Now, they list a bunch of names here, and it's important to note a couple of things. So now that the United States intelligence community is officially declaring that they're sure the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, very important ally of the US, murdered a journalist resident in the US, what are the consequences? Are there any consequences? Well, in 2018, there were some consequences, right? So this is from the Department of the Treasury, so the Office of Foreign Assets Control. They're the ones who issue sanctions. So Treasury sanctions 17 individuals for their roles in the killing of Jamal Khashoggi. Okay? So this is not even a month after. They already knew these people were involved. Immediately. Sanctions. All right? So they're freezing their assets. Okay? They're not allowed into the US. And it's very straightforward. Now here we have new sanctions, but not really. Not against MBS. Here's another announcement from the Department of the Treasury. Okay, so they're sanctioning the RAF and the former deputy head of Saudi Arabia's General Intelligence Presidency for roles in the murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi. Okay, so you remember from here, the RAF, Rapid Intervention Force, that's his security detail, basically his personal bodyguards. They're sanctioning them, right? But not MBS. Isn't that weird? Isn't that odd? So they're freezing their assets, okay? And again, travel restrictions. As a matter of fact, more than just travel restrictions, let me show you this. In regards to arms exports, okay? Sorry, my image disappeared there for a second. In regards to arms exports, maybe, just maybe, offensive weapons. But of course, you know, that's related a bit more to Yemen, which I'll get to in a second. But do you see what's going on here? Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia orders his personal security detail to go and literally assassinate another Saudi journalist, resident in the US, on Turkish soil. They chop his body up into parts and get rid of it. And Biden's response to that, well, first of all, Trump does nothing. He only sanctions people involved, but not directly MBS. Now Biden does the exact same thing. Even though a report just came out from his own administration that they know he ordered it. They're not just saying, yeah, Saudi Arabia did it. Some people from his entourage, son entourage, were involved. No, they're saying we assess that MBS personally ordered this because no one could do this without his permission. That's the environment. That's the intelligence we have. We know that this is the case. They knew this shit back then. We all knew this. We didn't need to wait 3 years for a report. And Biden's response is, no, I'm not doing anything against MBS. I'm going to sanction his personal security detail like a slap on the wrist, right? A little travel ban, but like, basically, I'm going to punish everyone who didn't order the assassination for the murder of Khashoggi, but not the person who ordered the assassination and murder of Khashoggi. Wow, that's amazing. So I just like to reiterate something that I said on Twitter earlier. You see Joe Biden just 2 weeks ago filing in the UK to appeal against the extradition to extradite Julian Assange, right? The UK decided no. Julian Assange can't be extradited. And what is Joe Biden administration doing? They're appealing that. They want to extradite Julian Assange to the US so he can face 2 centuries in jail for exposing US war crimes. Now, they have an intelligence assessment saying, yeah, we believe the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia killed a journalist resident in the US. We're not going to punish the guy who ordered the assassination, but his entourage. So Joe Biden's administration is telling you clearly now, fuck journalists. Journalists who publish shit about us, we're going to prosecute them. We're going to torture them. We're going to keep them on the run for 10 years. We're going to destroy their physical and mental well-being. And we're still going to prosecute them to face 2 centuries in jail. And our allies who murder journalists, who even live in our country, we're also not going to do shit. Go on. Go ahead. So this means all of his assets, Mohammed bin Salman, they're not frozen in the US, right? Why would they want that, considering he's such a good customer, right? Of course, any good business would never turn away its best customer. Remember, he bought, what is it now, $115 billion worth of weapons from Biden and Obama? Yeah, to kill children in Yemen. And then under Trump, he bought another $300 billion worth of weapons. That's a lot of fucking money for the military-industrial complex. Those are sweet, sweet deals. You don't want to turn him away. You can't freeze his assets. Oh no. How are you going to negotiate energy prices? The oil. What will you do without the oil? Oh no. How are you going to shit all over Iran and Syria if you turn away your best customer? You can't do that. Pretty sure Israel wouldn't like this either, right? Considering that not only are their interests aligned, they both want to destroy Iran and Syria and fund jihadists inside of Syria, give them medical attention. But Israel also developed the app, the hacking software Pegasus that was used to track Khashoggi's location in Istanbul and to assassinate him. Yeah, they sold that to the Saudis. They sell it to a lot of governments, actually, right? They have various iterations of it. Just recently, 36 journalists at Al Jazeera, they had their phones hacked by Pegasus. So, yeah, this is from The Guardian back last year. One of the activists who's talking to Khashoggi brought a case against NSO Group. That's the company that makes this Pegasus software, right? It targets iPhones specifically. And he brought a case against them because they hacked his phone and by extension that of Khashoggi. So we know that Israel is involved. Definitely, no surprise there. I love how that's not even mentioned, right? It's like that's not even brought into the conversation. It's just MBS. No, it's not just MBS. But yeah, once again, just like I was saying before, you know, no accountability. Oh no. Also, it's worth noting over here that it's not just about Khashoggi and a journalist, which is an enormous affront and attack in of itself on press freedoms, on any sort of semblance of, civil liberties, the extraterritorial assassination, and also extrajudicial assassination. It's horrendous, right? It's so bad on so many counts. But on top of that, what about the people of Yemen? I mean, MBS didn't just kill a journalist, a Saudi journalist. He's also complicit in the genocide of the people of Yemen. Where's the accountability of that? Like, if you're not going to hold him accountable or sanction him for murdering Khashoggi, which is unbelievable considering he's a U.S. resident, you're not going to hold him accountable for committing genocide against the Yemeni people? How many have died in the war in Yemen? I don't think we'll ever know the real figure, again, because there are so many casualties. But we're talking about hundreds of thousands, right? The majority of them are civilians. The vast majority of them are civilians. Indiscriminately bombed, starved. It's just unbelievable. Those are done with British, Canadian, German, French, American weapons. No one's going to hold them accountable. No sanctions. Crazy. It's really crazy because if I recall correctly, the West, the United States, the European Union, all these countries, they put tons of sanctions on Syria, right? For human rights abuses. They even sanctioned Assad's kid. Like the guy's barely 18. They sanctioned also Venezuela, right? Iran, Cuba, North Korea, the list goes on and on. Always in the name of human rights abuses, right? These regimes, they're so evil. They crack down on dissidents. They murder journalists and jail political dissidents, and they commit acts of aggression against their own populations. What is this? How does MBS not fit all of those qualifications? Unbelievable, right? It's so weird. It's so weird. I thought the United States hated totalitarian systems. You know, I thought they hated countries that commit severe human rights abuses and commit genocide. How weird, how odd, right? For a country that bombs and invades half the planet in the name of democracy. Idem ergo for Great Britain, right? How weird. And, you know, there's an interesting clip here from Ro Khanna. You know, I mean, I keep bringing this up, but I think it's important. You know, his wife has, if I recall correctly, stocks in 7 different weapons manufacturers. She has, I mean, I don't know if this is being fair. She has stocks in a lot of companies. That I will admit. If you go and look at them, it's unbelievable, right? So I guess, you know, maybe she accidentally invested in them. Whatever excuse you want to come up with. But in any case, here's Ro Khanna, not his wife, Ro Khanna talking about this matter. So let me play this clip for you.
The U.S.-Saudi relationship isn't bigger than human rights. It's not bigger than our belief in the dignity of every individual. We have to understand MBS's crime is not just the hacking of Khashoggi, a journalist, as brutal as that is. His crime is one against Yemen. I mean, they've been bombing women and children there for years. They are not letting in food and medicine. It's the greatest humanitarian catastrophe, and it's important to understand that's why they killed Khashoggi, because Khashoggi had the courage to speak out against that crisis. There is no way MBS should be allowed to set foot in the United States. I can't believe that they wouldn't revoke that. And we need to make sure that the Saudis lift the embargo, that they stop the bombing campaign, that they stop funding the greatest humanitarian crisis in the world.
Hey, I have no disagreements with what he just said. Yeah, straight up. When he says something right, I'm not going to shit on him. He's right. And if I recall correctly, he was one of the main proponents of, with Bernie Sanders, along with Bernie Sanders, to withdraw U.S. support from the Saudi-led genocide against Yemen. And of course, Trump vetoed it. Yeah, he's a bastard. It's Donald Trump. But, you know, Ro Khanna, I think he's been quite consistent on Yemen. So I respect that. I'm not going to say anything. You know, we're not just here to shit on people. He's right. Everything he said here. It's not just about Khashoggi. It's about MBS's crimes against the Yemeni people. The guy is a genocidal maniac. I mean, he's bought. What do you call? I'm pretty sure when you buy hundreds of billions of dollars worth of weapons to murder civilians, that makes you a genocidal maniac. Like, I think that should be up there for, you know, what qualifies as a genocidal maniac. Pretty sure. Like, that's a lot of fucking weapons. That is an exorbitant amounts of weapons. The deal that he did with Trump, the $300+ billion, that's the biggest armament sale in history. It doesn't get bigger than that, does it? So, nonetheless, I also can't believe that, technically speaking, not technically, I mean, just plainly, Mohammed bin Salman could just set foot in the United States tomorrow. Yes, like, you know, I killed someone who resides here and I'm not going to be held accountable. Wow. You know, once again, it's important to remind Americans who are listening that this is not just an affront on journalists or, you know, Khashoggi. It's an affront, and Yemen, of course, as well. But it's an affront on you. You know, if your own government is letting murderers walk free, I mean, that what do you call that? They're not serving you exactly, are they? I mean, if tomorrow morning you decided to become a staunch critic of Saudi Arabia, does that mean they're going to let MBS come and murder you? I mean, how do you feel about that? That should scare you a little, I think. No? I mean, it shouldn't don't let them scare you. Fuck them. That's what they want. Never be scared to speak the truth. They can eat my fucking ass. Fuck Saudi Arabia. Not the people of Saudi Arabia, but, you know, the goddamn bastards who are ruling it, who are just puppets of the United States and Israel. It's always important to draw a distinction, right? When we talk about the United States or the United Kingdom or Israel or United or Saudi Arabia or any country, we're not saying all the human beings, every single one of them in that country is, beyond redemption and they're all evil. No, we're talking about the leadership specifically. All right. Although when it comes to Israel, I mean, illegal settlers, man, you're illegal settlers. I mean, you're stealing someone else's land. There's just no way around that. But again, you understand my point here. So this is really fucked up, right? It's really a shame. I made this point earlier that we have so many Arabs against each other, pitted against each other, right? Like, it's not really, I mean, the entirety of humankind shouldn't really be pitted against each other, right? I know I'm not on some hippie bullshit right now, but it's true, man. We should opt for peace rather than war. And my point here is that, Arabs, we have a shared geography, right? Like you could technically walk all the way from Saudi Arabia to Morocco, right? That's a shared landmass, a shared geography. We have a shared language. We have a shared history, a shared culture, right? And a shared religion or religions, right? Because even though they won't teach you this at school or especially not in the media, yes, we are pluralistic in not just our ethnicities, but, also our religions, right? That's why I love Syria. I think it's beautiful. It's really the true melting pot. It's really an example of that, a model. And so my point is that you have all these countries, right? The Arab world, they're all next to each other. They have the same language, history, culture, and yet they're pitted against each other. Like we've been more divided than we've ever been at this point. It's a shame. It's a shame, right? That we have some of them being ruled by Western puppets who are, or in the best case, who are inadvertently doing the bidding of the West, if you want to put it that way, if you want to put it mildly. It's not true, though. It's worse than that. And, it's like we're alienated from each other. It's horrendous. I'm getting a little sidetracked there, but nonetheless, I think it's important to raise that. And I also, if you'll just give me a moment, I thought these were great points by Elijah Manier. So I've interviewed him before. He's great. He's a veteran war correspondent. This is the point that he made. He said the United States wants to punish Saudi Arabia. It won't, by the way, all this is a charade, for killing Khashoggi and not for killing tens of thousands in Yemen. Is this the United States measure of human rights? Why not ask him about the execution of prominent cleric Sheikh Nimr al-Nimr? I mean, this is an excellent point. This is an excellent point. The new Joe Biden administration wants to flirt with the U.S. media only, and Biden will protect the U.S.-Saudi relationship, and Saudi Arabia will pay the money to this administration, as it has done to every single administration, and bought the U.S. decision makers. Nothing new. Where's the lie, man? They are all bots, right? It's just a question of figuring out by who and how much. And another excellent point here that I would raise, not that I raised, Ali Abu Nima raised this, right, from Electronic Intifada. He said that, why did the United States directly blame MBS for the Khashoggi murder, but then exempt him from consequences, at least for now? I suspect the price MBS will pay for such leniency is to push ahead with full Saudi normalization with the Zionist occupation entity in Palestine. Ha. Now we are getting somewhere. Yeah. He's right. That could be the real price. And we, of course, we know under the table, Saudi Arabia is already like this with Israel. I mean, we all know this, just like we know Israel was in cahoots with Bahrain and the UAE before. We know. And especially with Saudi Arabia, right? They're just waiting. They're trying to lube people up. The Abraham Accords, that was just the beginning. The big one is coming, right, with Saudi Arabia. So, and even then there were talks it's coming, right? There were rumors, oh my God, it's going to happen. And they were talking about letting flights over Saudi Arabian airspace. And, this is how they lube you up. You'll have little whispers in the media and say, oh my God, it's coming. Yeah, they get you ready for it, right? That's a good one. I think that's an excellent point that he raises. I think that's an excellent point. I wouldn't be surprised if they normalize ties tomorrow morning. Wouldn't be surprised. By the way, a little fun fact, if you didn't know this, I think around 2002, the entire Arab League, oh, by the way, I'll mention them in a second. The entire Arab League offered Israel a deal, right? It was basically like, we will stop all wars and conflicts with you. We will all recognize you, basically normalize ties with you, right? That means recognize Israel as a state, and we will engage in trade and diplomatic relations and travel and tourism and all this stuff. If you go back to the original 67 borders and give Palestinians a state, and Israel was like, nope. To be fair, Syria was actually the most pissed about that. Like, they were like, we are not normalizing ties with the Israelis. No fucking way. Now, if we're being honest, I don't think Syria has always been fair to the Palestinians. There are many. I mean, you could say this about all the Arab countries. I think Jazair, I think Algeria, they've come through the most correct with the Palestinians, right? But there have been times in Syria's history and other Arab countries where they've really failed the Palestinians, and it's a shame. But generally speaking, especially now in 2021, why do you think Syria is in the state that it's in? Why do you think it's being bombed left and right by 20 countries? I mean, okay, a dozen countries and 20 other factions. Why do you think it's in this state of disarray? Part of the reason, not all of it, but a large part of it, is because of its animosity and, let's say its sour relations with Israel. I mean, they're technically still in a state of war, right? Technically, people would say not really, but if we're speaking in practical terms, they are, right? I mean, my parents, they were working in the peacekeeping mission at the Golan Heights, right? UNDOF, United Nations Disengagement and Observer Force, if I got it correctly. All these UN peacekeeping missions have huge names, UNAVEM and UNRWA is the relief agency in Palestine. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, Syria is always consistent in that regard. They're not going to normalize ties easily. No way, especially if Syria doesn't have the Golan Heights back. But anyway, we're getting a bit off topic here, right? I just thought these were great points to show you. And, my takeaway from this, what I think is the most astonishing is that, Joe Biden and his administration, as predicted, they're just showing you again that they have no problem with persecuting journalists. They have no problem letting Julian Assange rot away in a jail cell and charging him, with this bogus indictment that was cooked up by the Trump administration, 175 years in jail. And now when Saudi Arabia murders a resident Saudi journalist on U.S. soil, well, he's resident on U.S. soil, but he was murdered in Turkey. They don't care either. They're not going to hold anyone accountable. Wow. Where's the difference? Please show me the difference again now between Trump and Biden. There's literally no difference. Yeah, they issue like a slap on the wrist, but it's always for his entourage and not him, for MBS. It's unbelievable. Like every single thing you look at is just the same old nonsense, man. They just won't quit. And I just want to show you also over here in terms of Yemen, what's going on, right? Okay, so right, so Joe Biden, he gets in office, and just a few days before, Pompeo, Trump, they slap the Houthi movement with these sanctions in Yemen. And the UN and all the relief agencies warned you're going to have the largest famine in modern history. And this is a country that's already been ravaged by famine. And you have over hundreds of thousands dead, most of them civilians and children. And this is all because of the Saudi-led genocide. They're using UK, British, French, American, German, Canadian bombs. And, both Obama and Trump sold them those bombs, right? $115 billion worth, $300 billion worth, respectively. And the sanctions is just, it's just, the final the final nail in the coffin, right? They're going to kill everyone through starvation, if not by bombs now. Again, you go and look at how many are malnourished in Yemen already. It's unbelievable. So what would sanctions, further sanctions do? You know, this foreign terrorist organization designation and the specially designated global terror entity. I mean, this is just adding more violence to the mix. And Joe Biden, he says he's going to look at it, and then he finally reverses it, right? And people are like, wow, well done. Yeah, that's not enough. Like, you were complicit in the Obama administration's decision to sell weapons to the Saudis who killed the Yemenis in the first place. I mean, you supported this war the entire time. So I'm not going to really applaud you for like killing a little less people. You're already responsible for that. What the fuck? And so people are like, oh yeah, look, Biden is so much better. Look, he's already different than Trump. And then he goes on and he freezes an arms sale to Saudi Arabia. Not all arms sales, just one. And, you know, when I was talking to Rania Khalik, she told me that this is normal procedure. When a new administration comes in, they just review all of these sorts of things, right? It's just an administrative process. It's not because they actually had an epiphany and a light bulb moment and, a sudden change of heart and grew a conscience. No. And now, just to further show you that the Biden administration is going to keep on supporting Saudi Arabia, look at this shit. So they say, Biden team considering a halt to offensive arms sales for the Saudis. Okay. So, I mean, this is from US News, but you can see this from a bunch of outlets reporting this. And they're saying President Joe, this one's from Reuters. President Joe Biden's administration is considering the cancellation of arms deals with Saudi Arabia that pose human rights concerns while limiting future military sales to defensive weapons as it reassesses its relationship with the kingdom. Four sources familiar with the administration's thinking said that after pausing $500 million in arms deals with Saudi Arabia out of concern over casualties in Yemen earlier this year, officials are assessing the equipment and training included in recent sales to determine what can be considered defensive. Wow, those deals would be allowed. That really, I mean, that's just wonderful, right? Just like when Joe Biden bombed my country 2 days ago when he bombed Syria, and he called that a defensive airstrike, even though Syria is on the other side of the planet. Syria has never bombed the United States. Syria is not at war with the United States. Syria has done nothing to the United States. And that was called defensive by these people. And now these people are going to come along and tell you that they're also going to decide what constitutes defensive weapons for the Saudis who are murdering the Yemeni people and committing genocide against them. Oh, and the kicker, it's the same people who were there the first time round during the Obama administration when the war started and fully supported it. Wow. Oh, they really inspire a lot of confidence. I put my full trust in them, right? I'm so certain they're going to do an immaculate job, right? They'll be really consistent. They will scrutinize the Saudis like you would not believe. Wow. It's not like we've seen the United States use the word defensive, right? Or Israel use the word defensive in the context of aggression when they are the aggressors, right? It's not like the United States and their allies do that all the time, right? They go to a country on the other side of the planet, murder its people, starve them, bomb them, occupy them, and then call it defensive. Just like just like Israel calls its army the Israeli Defense Forces. Yeah, it's more like the Israeli occupation forces. So this is good news, right? I bet Yemenis are just so happy that they're gonna keep getting murdered by the Saudis using defensive weapons, deemed by the same people who helped sell the weapons, right? Not a conflict of interest at all. So, the United States is selling billions of dollars worth of weapons. It has a profit incentive, not just tacitly, but specifically because this is a government that is completely bought by the weapons industry. Its entire foreign policy is conducted to enrich the military-industrial complex. So these people who have an incentive to please Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, Northrop, all these weapons manufacturers, they're also going to decide what is defensive. Oh yeah, this looks good. All right, Ship them all out. Oh my God. The Biden administration is recalibrating its relationship with Saudi Arabia, a country with which it has severe human rights concerns, but which is also one of Washington's closest U.S. allies in countering the threat posed by Iran. Here we go. Here we go. So it's not just going to be in the context of Yemen. Do you understand? Apparently, every time an Iranian breathes or coughs, that's a threat to the United States and Israel and Saudi Arabia, right? In their opinion, Iranians are not allowed to exist. So I guess everything is going to be a defensive weapon, right? It's not like Saudi Arabia is, at odds, putting it mildly, with Iran. Oh, they're totally on best terms, right? I mean, this is lunacy. This is, once again, they're dressing up the same policies with a rainbow or a little bow. They're just feeding you nonsense. It's a continuation of the same stuff, right? I spoke with Associate Professor Max Abrams. He's from he teaches at Northeastern University in Boston, and we were talking about the this will be on my next television broadcast, right? So we were talking about the airstrikes on Syria, and he framed it in a really good way. He said this wasn't so much as sending a message to Iran, but more of a message to Israel that we are behind you, right? But it's very clear that nonetheless, in the region, Israel, Saudi Arabia, the United States, they're all operating together against Syria and its allies, which includes Iran and anyone else who's supporting the anti-imperialist resistance effort, right? So all Saudi Arabia has to do, really, is just tell the U.S., well, we need this so we can fend off Iran and these Iranian-backed militias. Yeah, the same catchphrase. And they're just going to give them everything they want, right? Of course. Because I'm just telling you, they literally attacked Iranian-backed militias in Syria and called it defensive. So why would they not apply that same logic to Saudi Arabia, telling them we need this because Iran is a threat? The media is doing their fucking job for them. I mean, these are stenographers, honestly. The threat posed by Iran. What threat? Can someone please explain what this threat is? What is this threat that Iran poses to Israel and Saudi Arabia? I'm really curious. As far as I can tell, Israel and the United States, they conducted cyber warfare against Iran. They sabotaged their nuclear centrifuges, right? That's tantamount to a declaration of war. If Iran had done that to them, they would lose it. The United States assassinated General Qasem Soleimani. The United States flew a drone into Iran's airspace. Okay? Saudi Arabia is funding all these Wahhabist fucking nut jobs and jihadists that are coming into Syria who would chop my head off and people like me just for being Christian. And Iran is thank God liberating Iraq and Syria from this cancer of Daesh, of ISIS. Is that a threat? That's the threat they're talking about? That Iran is fighting jihadists? It seems you got your threats mixed up, right? Unfucking believable, man. I really feel like this is some episode of the Twilight Zone, Okay, I don't want to exaggerate as well. We're a lot of us are very blessed. We're very lucky, but it's just the logic. You just read this and it's reported like it's just fact. The threat posed by Iran. What threat? Explain what this threat is. We know it's not nuclear because they don't have any fucking nukes. There are more IAEA investigations in Iran than any country in history. If they had nukes, we already would have known. What is the threat? Tell me. No one knows. No one fucking knows. So you can see how the media is doing Saudi Arabia's job, Israel's job, the United States' job for them, right? They just, without question, they just give to you, they present to you the statements, and they bury these statements in their articles to subconsciously program you into just accepting that Iran threat. Just associate the word Iran with anything bad. And that's how people just accept that, oh, Joe Biden bombing Iranian-backed militias in Syria is okay. Yeah, it's totally fine. We don't even know what those are. We don't even know what the Hashd al-Shabi is. We don't even know that they helped to crush Daesh, that they've helped defend Christians and just basically everyone, right? By liberating Iraq and Syria. No, we don't care. We heard Iran, that means evil. And here again, Iran, evil, threat, Iran. It's just fucking brainwashing, man. I mean, at least back it up. Like, I'm genuinely curious. What is this threat? I read your article. I'm reading it now, and I want to know what that is. They won't tell us. So as I mentioned, our favorites are here. Sales of products deemed defensive, okay, include anti-ballistic missile defense systems made by Lockheed Martin or Patriot missile defense systems made by Lockheed and Raytheon. You know the Patriot missile defense systems, right? So what's their range again? I think it's around 200 kilometers. Around 200 kilometers. These are surface-to-air missiles. This is the counterpart to the Russians' S-400 or S-300 systems, right? S-400 is a bit better, if I recall correctly. You can launch missiles that have different ranges, short range, long range, etc. I think theirs goes up to 400 kilometers, the longest one. So my point here is going back to the Patriot missile defense system. You know, this is just another excuse for the Americans not just to make money, but also to, you know, create buffers, right? They'll go into Poland, for example. They did this with Poland and just put up a barrage of surface-to-air missiles, you know, to contain Russia, right? And now they'll probably do the same thing to contain Iran, right? As if they don't already have 10 million military bases surrounding them. It's unbelievable, right? You have your government being run by motherfuckers who work at private corporations that make weapons to kill people and, you know, nut jobs in Israel and Saudi Arabia. These are the people running your government. You have no say in your government. It is completely eviscerated. This is lunacy to think that you have a say in your government. It is completely bought and sold off. Fucking forget about it, you know? And I can say the same thing about the UK, right? Of course. They're also profiting from these arms sales. They're also training Saudi pilots in the UK and in Saudi Arabia. They're also just as complicit. I feel like the British have just gotten much better at being quiet. You know, the Americans get all the criticism, and like in Britain, it's like most people just don't care. And the rest of the world just, you know, they don't criticize Britain as much as they should, right? I can say that about myself as well. But the way I see it, the US is just a demon spawn of the UK. It's all connected, isn't it? So, you know, it's like, I sometimes laugh because what is that phrase again from the revolution? No taxation without representation. Okay, so you got rid of the British king and you just replaced the British monarchy with other assholes who are also mostly descendant from England, from Britain, who are still taxing you and representing you perhaps even less, right? So basically, I mean, nothing changed. Nothing changed. Plus ça change, plus ça reste le même. Plus ça change, plus c'est le même. So they're also talking here about these Boeing munitions, GPU-39. I don't know what those are, man. I'm not familiar with those. But, you know, just speaking of munitions they've sold, I remember the Obama administration at one point decided to stop selling cluster bombs to the Saudis. Don't you love that? It's like, yeah, we'll sell you the regular bombs, which kill Yemeni people and destroy their fishing villages, but we won't sell you cluster bombs. I mean, yes, there is a case to be made, although I don't know what the point is, because bombs are bombs. They're bad. They still kill and maim people. But, you know, with cluster bombs, they're particularly evil. I mean, just to show you a picture, I think I've demonstrated this to you before. I remember this from when I was a kid, right? Seeing them being used in Iraq. They were... most countries have banned them, outlawed them, but the United States, of course, is not. And, or I think they have, but they're just producing the last ones, right? It's like, you know, just a little more. So these are cluster bombs. It's a lot of bombs inside of one, and they go all over the place, and they have a really high dud rate, I think of 1%. And you might be thinking 1% is not a lot, but yes, it is a lot. So, you know, you'll have some of them that go unexploded. And, you know, it's just horrendous, man, because I mean, I don't even know why I'm explaining this. It's just awful in both ways, but they maim a lot of people, especially, you know, I've seen so many pictures of kids in Iraq maimed by them. But again, it's like, they're bombs. Whether they kill or they maim, it's still wrong, right? But my point is, going back to my original point, the Obama administration, you know, they had an epiphany and decided, no, we can't sell the Saudis cluster bombs. We're going to stop that. But we'll still sell them the regular stuff. all of that. And then Trump comes in and he reverses it, right? Again, it's like these minor differences, but Yemeni people are still being murdered and slaughtered by the Saudis with your bombs. You're still making profits for the military-industrial complex. It's not a real change, is it? I'm pretty sure a kid in Yemen doesn't care if he's maimed by a cluster bomb or a conventional bomb. He doesn't want to be fucking maimed in the first place, you asshole. Anyway, Trump reverses that, and I don't even know what happened, if it's still there. I don't even know if they're still selling them cluster bombs. It's such a moot point, right? It's like one of those things where they try to see, you see Biden is more humane. What is wrong with you? I mean, this is just evil. Like, I can't believe there are actual engineers who sit down and design this shit. What a waste of humanity. What a waste of human talent and knowledge, honestly. Think of the shit we could do instead of this, man. It's truly evil. It's truly evil. And so, it'll be interesting to see what they do with this. They say the weapons review also affects $23 billion of deals with the United Arab Emirates, another country that has been an important U.S. partner, which means they're on good terms with Israel. All right, that's my job. I have to translate bullshit for you. Okay, that's what it means. So on January 20th, the day that Trump left office and Biden became president, the UAE, you remember that day, the inauguration, when they were playing clips of George Bush? Just a small detail. On January 20th, the day that Trump left office and Biden became president, UAE signed agreements with the outgoing administration to buy up to 50 F-35 jets. They got conned. 18 armed drones and other defense equipment in a deal worth $23 billion. Wow. That sale, which the Trump administration justified as allowing the UAE to deter Iranian threats. Here we go fucking again. Wow. This is like one of the best, corporate slogans of all time, right? McDonald's, what do they have? I'm loving it. Yeah. And for the weapons industry, countering Iranian threats. That's the best, that's the highest selling slogan in corporate America, right? Unbelievable. That sale, which the Trump administration justified as allowing the UAE to deter Iranian threats, I appreciate they put it under quotes this time, is also among those being reviewed by the Biden administration. Now, this is an interesting part. They say that Congress had voted to block the UAE deal out of concern that it was being rushed through without sufficient assurances that the equipment would not fall into the wrong hands. But the Republican-controlled Senate did not override his veto. All right, again, you want me to translate this for you? Let me translate. Israel was pissed off that the United States was going to sell the UAE the same jets that Israel has, right? F-35s, among others. So, the F-35, Christ, I mean, that's a whole other story in of itself. I mean, it's a dud. It's a failure, right? I don't think there's any other airplane that they spend more money on in recent history, and has so many problems, but somehow they keep managing to sell them. I remember Britain bought a bunch of them. They have A, B, and C variants. One of them is for aircraft carriers, and Britain didn't even buy those, I think. So anyway, Israel was pissed off. So that's what it means here, right? I mean, it's not a secret. There are tons of articles about it. Israel was saying, like, no, you cannot give these Arabs that we just normalize ties with, right? We're friends. Yeah, don't give them any of those F-35s. Don't you love Israel? It's like normalizing ties with them just means being their bitch. So apparently, like, yeah, we're going to engage in trade with each other and establish diplomatic relations and just treat each other like normal countries. But yeah, not really. Don't you love that? It's so funny because, the UAE, I mean, to be fair, most of the people in the UAE are not even from there. 80% are like foreigners or something. It's true. It's like, nonetheless, they went ahead and established ties with Israel, and turned their backs on the Palestinians and the Arabs, and gave away any leverage they had, and just get cucked immediately by Israel, because they thought, yeah, if we normalize ties with Israel, surely America will sell us weapons. And it's true, America wants to sell them weapons. But Israel is not happy with all of those weapons. Did you love it? You got to laugh at it. It's really funny. So anyway, this is really just another continuation of the same old. I mean, call me crazy, but I think I think the job of a president should not be to be a fucking salesman for the military-industrial complex or private corporations. That's not your job. Okay, your administration's entire job is not to cater to other countries by selling them weapons, especially if they are murdering and committing genocide against other countries, right? I mean, it's literally in their law. It's in U.S. law that you can't sell weapons to genocidal regimes, Saudi Arabia, and yet they just do it, right? It's like whatever. What is illegal, they will either ignore or make legal, right? That's the only consistent thing in Washington D.C. and in Whitehall, that bar, yeah, in Whitehall. So yeah, nothing surprising here. And again, it just goes to show that this idea that Joe Biden is ending U.S. support for the war in Yemen is complete bullshit. Because what does defensive mean, right? They just bend that term to mean whatever they want it to mean. And, you know, even in the first announcement, they said that, you know, they're going to withdraw U.S. support, which, you know, refers to military support, which refers to, you know, drone strikes and you know, direct intervention, which is what they've been helping the Saudis with. But they don't make any mention of intelligence. Like, is Joe Biden going to cut intelligence support and cooperation with the Saudis in terms of this conflict in Yemen, this genocide? Is he going to cut off, I don't know, allowing them to use their, you know, bases as pit stops or refueling? What about logistical support? What about political support? Like, what if, for example, tomorrow morning, you know, we have a UN Security Council resolution, we have a vote on the table. I mean, are you also going to support them in that? But you cut off military support, so it's okay. But you'll still support them in every other way, politically, you know, logistically. What does that mean? Who the fuck knows? Well, apparently it doesn't mean anything, right? I mean, they're not even going to cut off all military support. They'll still sell them weapons as long as it's defensive, right? Again, once again, Joe Biden, continuation of the same old shit. Just paint a bunch of rainbows on it, right? Just do exactly what Trump did and Obama and Bush and just call it something else. But it's the same shit at the end of the day, right? They're never going to hold Saudi Arabia accountable for murdering Khashoggi. They're never going to hold Saudi Arabia accountable for their genocide in Yemen. They're never going to hold them accountable for sponsoring terrorism across the world, right? Exporting Wahhabism. They're never going to do anything. It's no surprise. There's nothing new. They're allies, remember? It's okay if our allies do naughty things. It doesn't matter. But those fucking Syrians and Iranians, if they do any shit. Welcome. This is the lesser of two evils. I hope you're happy. So I rest my case. I need a sip of juice. I'll read your super chats in just a second. Thank you again for supporting the show and allowing independent journalism to thrive so we can combat the Rachel Maddows of the world and the Washington Post stenographers. All right. Let me just read your super chats over here. Oh, thank you very much. We have a huge one from Austin Hall. Thank you so much for your donation. I really appreciate it. Austin says, thank you. Keep fighting. You know I will. You know I will, as long as the Saudis don't cut me up into pieces. That's like two places you should definitely never go as a journalist, right? Saudi Arabia and Turkey, unfortunately. It's a shame because I'd love to visit those countries. But, you know, as a general rule of thumb, I need to say this because it's so funny how, you'll hear people say like, oh my God, there's no press freedoms in Syria. And, you know, it's just horrendous, the crackdowns. And it pales in comparison to Saudi Arabia, right? And yet the United States has no problem with Saudi Arabia or with these other Arab kingdoms in the Persian Gulf. How weird, right? How weird. Like Saudi Arabia can just chop up journalists, and even if they're US residents, and it's just like, whatever. Dude, I'm telling you something. I'm telling you this straight up. Go and look, just go on YouTube afterwards. Don't you go anywhere right now. And you look up anyone you like the BBC, any channel you like. You can find them. They've been into Syria. They've interviewed maybe even the president. Like they're allowed into the country, and they can do their reporting even though they've talked shit about the government, right? And they'll just come and interview. You see the same thing with Putin, by the way, right? What is her name again? Megyn Kelly? I can't remember, but like, you know, they talk completely differently with foreign leaders. They'll come up to them and it's like, but you're a genocidal maniac, aren't you? Like they'll say that shit to their faces. You committed war crimes, right? And then, you know, when they go back to the United States, they tuck their tails between their fucking legs, and they won't even bring up these topics to Western leaders, right? And then they turn around and they claim like, oh my God, man, this repression of journalists, it's so brutal. What? Motherfucker, you're like, the United States is trying to lock up Julian Assange for 2 centuries. They just let MBS off the hook for chopping up a fucking journalist. How is that not repression? Can you imagine if Iran or Syria chopped up a fucking journalist? Just imagine that shit. They literally dismembered Khashoggi in the embassy with his fiancée waiting outside. What the fuck? Can you imagine Syria trying to kidnap an American journalist and put him in jail for 2 centuries because like he talked shit about the Syrian government or Bashar al-Assad? Can you imagine that? Apparently it's okay if the United States does it. That's like totally normal. Yeah, totally rational. That's what democracies do, right? What the fuck? I mean, you want to come here and talk about press freedoms? Shut the fuck up. Seriously, man. I mean, you know, I was there at the Assange extradition hearing, and it's like, it's surreal. You know, we're talking about genocide and fucking mass graves in the courtroom as if it's nothing. Like, yeah, the defendant helped this torture victim of the CIA get compensation, and a case ruled in his favor and established that he was tortured by the CIA. But we're not going to let him testify, and we're going to send the defendant to serve 2 centuries in jail. Holy shit. Like that, this is just glossed over. Like, yeah, this guy was tortured, whatever. Yeah, there were 15,000 dead Iraqis, unmasked by these files. Whatever. Holy fuck. But in the middle of London. In the middle of fucking London. It's unreal. And then they come along and say, oh, yes, boy, we are so civilized, yes. Our democratic institutions. Marvel of the world, boy. Yes. We have to colonize these savages, boy. Teach them our way, boy. I'm sorry, it really just... No, actually, I'm not sorry. I'm just outraged. Anyway, Christ. I got sidetracked a little. I'm going back to your super chats. I appreciate it. Habib Akhtar says, what happens to the Valentine messages on the lawn? Oh, you're talking about Jill Biden's messages, the heart that, what does it say again? Compassion, healing. Oh, I know where they are. They're on the drone right now, right? So, I mean, Claudia, she drew us up. She did a nice little mock-up for us. Where is it? If I can just find it. They put them on the drones. They're painted on the drones now. Didn't you know? Didn't you know? The Unity administration is in town. Here we go. I found it. Okay. Here's the Unity drone. Look at it. Isn't that beautiful? We got kindness, compassion, love, courage, healing. Isn't that great? Claudia made this. She made the thumbnail, by the way, for this video. So shout out to her. She does great work. Yeah, that's where they went. So I hope that answers your question. Twitch Grip says, my aunt was murdered over oils deals, and she got involved in on behalf of Senator Dan Evans. Never got to meet her. I was 1 year old. It's still the same today. Yo, we need to, I need to look into this more because I'm really interested. And Twitch says, my point is, how the fuck will the world ever change? I feel like there is no hope for the stupidity of humans. Violence seems immortal, unlike us. I feel you, man. I mean, it's depressing. I know. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't think it's like, I don't think it's inherent. Now we're going to delve into philosophy, right? Like, is man a product, nature versus nurture? Is man a product of his environment, or, is he just born a certain way? I think it's a little both. Again, I didn't do that well in philosophy class. I did okay. But, but no, seriously, I know it seems messed up. And I was thinking about this the other day. I was like, if you look back at history, you can go back thousands of years, right? Literally thousands of years. And you see the same shit. Like, you can go to any part of the world almost, where and just see people killing each other, stealing from each other, going to war with each other, and they speak completely different languages, and they have completely different religions and beliefs, and we're thousands of years, and we still behave like that. Why? I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say here. Remember that scene in Full Metal Jacket? I guess I was trying to suggest something about the duality of man, sir. That's what I'm doing. Not to go off on a tangent, but I want to hear more about your story. And if you'd please, because I know the super chats are not long enough, but if you'd please maybe DM me. My email is rmedhurst@protonmail.com. It's on my Twitter profile. You'll see it right there. So hit me up because I want to know more about this. And I'm sorry about your aunt. That's horrendous and it's awful. And I'm not surprised by the behavior of these, evil corporatist bastards. That's their business model, right? It's murdering people for profit in whatever way they can. It's disgusting. Birol Kanmaz, I hope I'm saying your name correctly, says, actually someone who disguised like Khashoggi came out of the consulate and went to a cafe, then changed back. They tried to put the blame on Turkey. Yeah, right. So this is, there's a whole, investigation about that. First, I think the Saudis said that, no, he left the consulate, as you're saying. And then they also said, like, no, he struggled to, be essentially taken back to Saudi Arabia, and he died in a fight. And they're like, no, he actually was choked to death. And then, oh no, he was actually drugged to death. It's just like they keep changing the fucking story as if that makes it okay. Like, it's unbelievable, really. Breezy, thank you for the donation. I appreciate it very much. Gordon, thank you for the sticker. Much love. And we got another one from Twitch Grip. Says, after I started to listen to your channel, I met my new boss, who is Chaldean Catholic from Iraq. His parents fled to the United States when Muslims started genocide. So I'm assuming you're talking about the Salafist jihadists that are financed, by all the United States and their allies. Yes, and unfortunately, these politicians in the United States and in the West, they claim that they care about human rights. They claim that they care about minorities. You even have people like Marco Rubio who claim, we have to protect the Christians in Iraq and Syria. What, by funding jihadists who want to kill Christians, who chop my head off? Fuck you. They just talk out of both sides of their mouth. It's unbelievable, right? They're such hypocrites, and it's just nauseating. Again, just like the story you mentioned, the Iraqis that you know personally, there are tons of people who've had to flee their homes because of this ethnic cleansing, right? It's horrible. It's really a crime against humanity. M10 Berserk says, definitely something fishy going on with your channel and YouTube trying to censor it when looking at the content likes and views ratios. Anyway, love you, Habibi. I appreciate the heads up. I hope nothing fishy is going on. Although my tweet, I put up a tweet about, hold on, I'll show it to you because I think it's dope. If I may say so. But yeah, Twitter has been censoring that too. Like, someone posted that they were not able to like it. I don't know if that's a bug. I don't know, man. But I'll show it to you. There's someone filmed it, right? So they were trying to like it and they couldn't like it for some reason. Here it is. It's this one. So I think you can see now. When you visit Syria, you will find ruins from almost every civilization: Roman, Greek, Byzantine, Sumerian, Ottoman, Hittite, French, you name it. It's beautiful. And let that also serve as a warning to what ultimately awaits foreign invaders. Yeah, so I looked at this tweet earlier. It had 1,000 likes, and now it's 671. I don't know what that's about, but someone posted a video about it being censored. Take a look. So they're trying to like it, and it won't work. But I'm not the only person that happens to. I've seen tons of people on Twitter complain about that, right? It's just weird. And if you go and look at the comments, they're saying it's happening to them too. This is all from a few hours ago, you know? I don't know about that, but I hope nothing fishy is going on with YouTube and stuff. And, you know, I guess this is a good time to promote the Rockfin, right? So I would highly suggest you guys join on Rockfin, because yours truly is there, but not just yours truly. You have all of your other favorites. And I think it's a great that there's no censorship there. That's a great plus, especially in our line of work. Wouldn't you agree? So rockfin.com/RichardMedhurst. Again, there are tons more than what I'm showing you. I know Whitney Webb is on there, Lee Camp. There's so many, right? And you really, really need to go on there. It's free to make an account. You don't have to pay anything. You can watch everything for free. The premium stuff, for those who do premium stuff, you can access it for $10 a month. And the way it works, it's like if you subscribe to a channel, I think they get 20% at the very least. But if you go and watch Lee Camp's content, for example, or you watch Convo Couch, they'll get some of that $10, right? So it's like distributed depending on who you watch. I think that's dope. But again, most of all, there's no censorship. That's like number one. So, you know, we're not just getting paid better. There's no censorship. I think that's really dope. I'm live right now on Rockfin, you see? So it's definitely the future. And you get everyone's premium, right? So I think I mentioned that. And I'm going to continue to plug it. I know you guys have probably heard me do it a million times, but it's worth it because we need to have an alternative to YouTube. We can't just, you know, put all our eggs in one basket. And moreover, it's helping the others as well. It's helping independent journalism in general. So I think it's worth it to hear me go on about it. M10, thank you for that. Says M10 says might as well stream on Pornhub for more reach. Hey, shit, that's a good point. That's a good point, man. Don't push me. Don't push me. Vexel Turning says Mars or bust. Belta Loda. Hold on a second. What? I know that. The Expanse. Right? Isn't that the name of the show? Belta Loda. That's a good show. Right? Pampao. I can't believe I understood that reference. That's good, man. That's good. Dirty Chivo. By the way, just 1 second. Speaking of shows, have you noticed how the Pentagon spokesperson or press secretary, I think is his official title, John Kirby? First of all, the name, but he looks like a fucking character from The Office. He looks like a great value version of what's his name? Michael Scott. Look at him, man. He's like a fucking Office character. I don't know. It just reminds me of him somehow. Oh my God. Anyway. Conference room, everybody, 5 minutes. Okay. By the way, we bombed Syria today, and we're stealing the oil. Conference is over. So going back to your super chats, Dirty Shivo says Omar and Rashida silent on Syrian attack, and AOC defending cages now because they're Biden's. They're Biden's. Gross. They're nothing more than Democrats. I know, man. I know. Right? This is the big difference now between Biden and Trump. Okay, so when it's Trump, they're concentration camps. But when it's Joe Biden, they're migrant overflow facilities, right? Not kids in cages. No. These are office containers with bars on the window. And when Trump bombed Syria, he's a mad king. But when Biden bombed Syria, nowhere to be found. What's Syria? Oh, no, these are defensive airstrikes. My bad. And when Biden promises $2,000 checks and gets in office, now they're $1,400 checks, right? When Trump is selling Saudi Arabia weapons, then it's genocide. But when Biden sells Saudi Arabia weapons, even though he did under Obama, now he'll only sell them defensive weapons, right? So they can do defensive airstrikes on Iran and defensive airstrikes on Yemen and whoever else they please, perhaps. Yes? Right? Just like the US did defensive airstrikes on Syria a few days ago. Right? How wonderful. I love this creativity in the English language. I think it's really good. Right? Take the same shit and just paint some fucking rainbows on it. Right? Unity, unity, unity. I need my unity ring. Unity. Wow. Same old shit, huh? Well done. Well done. This is the lesser of two evils. Well done. Oh, and how could I forget? Trump prosecutes Julian Assange. Joe Biden prosecutes Julian Assange, right? Donald Trump lets MBS go unpunished for murdering Khashoggi. So does Joe Biden. Wonderful. I'm really feeling the unity. Great job. So, okay, mate says, have you seen the Adam Curtis documentary, Can't Get You Out of My Head? If so, your thoughts. If not, check out on Adam's YouTube channel. No, I've not seen that. Hold on a second. Oh, this just came out? No, I've not seen this one. Okay, I definitely need to check this out then. Thank you. I'll put this aside for me. Give me a second. Thanks for the recommendations. I always appreciate it. And also, you guys recommend guests. Also appreciate that too. Vexil Tuning says, to Western civilizations, please stop bombing my side of the dirt, please. I don't know where you are, but they should stop bombing everyone, definitely. So, AJR, there's a fist bump sticker. Here's the fist bump right back at you. I appreciate it very much. And I'm just checking if I missed anyone. I don't want to miss anybody's super chats. Make sure I get everyone. And thank you again to Austin and all of you for your donations. I really appreciate your support for supporting independent media, for allowing me to do this, right? So long as we're breathing. So we also got some stuff on PayPal. I don't know if there are any notes attached. Just give me 1 second. I don't think are loading, but so this one is from Hunter. Hunter says, much love, friend. I appreciate it very much. Thank you, Hunter. And we've got another one also from iProject. Thank you. There's no note attached, but I'm very grateful nonetheless. Thank you for your support. And we also got some stuff from Robert. Robert says, well, I think it's censored because, you know, if you put the word Syria or you put Palestine in your PayPal note, they put it aside and then you can't read what it says. But nonetheless, thank you, Robert. I appreciate it. Whenever PayPal lets it through, I'll try and read it out. So thank you for that. So yeah, and just one more second. Over here. Yeah, we got some tips on Rockfin, which I want to read to you as well. Bill Nye, the highest guy. Good to see you. It says capitalism is a death cult. Yes, I agree. But pay attention. It's a Rainbow Coalition death cult now. Very important. Chris says nothing, but there's a tip. So thank you, Chris. I appreciate it. Major Tom says, just throwing my work boot at the like button. Keep fighting the good fight. Don't let them shut you up or get away with the war lies. Let's get peace with truth. We choose truth over facts, as Joe Biden says, right? But we don't want to be like Joe Biden, obviously. We want to be like Major Tom says. So I appreciate it very much, and you're absolutely right. Franklin says, love from Roar Media, hashtag Federation of Independent Media. I like that. That's a damn good phrase or title right there, Federation of Independent Media. Does that mean anything? It's just a hashtag, right? I'm not sure if it's an organization, if I missed something, but that sounds good. I like the concept of it, right? We should have a federation of independent media. Can't let these corporate bastards, they're screwing us, right? It's like legacy media, they have total control and domination over the airwaves, radio, television, satellite. And then as soon as the internet starts, popping up, now all of a sudden they're trying to take over, YouTube and all the other big tech companies. I mean, they were always going to be an extension of the national security state. We know that, but nonetheless, it's like, you know, they're just doing what corporations do. They're not media. These people are out to sell wars to you, to, you know, feed you propaganda and make money at the same time. And they just do what corporations do. They monopolize, right? They take over everything. So they didn't even leave us that. But thank God we have Rockfin. So I appreciate everybody who's watching right now. We got 30 people watching on the Rockfin. And I believe I set this to premium. It does that by default. And sometimes I forget to put it to free. But that means there's 30 of you that have endorsed the channel or subscribed to it, right? And I appreciate that very much. Thank you so much for that. I'm very grateful. I think if you'll just allow me 1 second, I just want to check how many we are, because, you know, I know we have the bar, the thermometer that Joe Biden is sniffing. Let me show it to you, right? Hold on a second. So this is the bar where Joe Biden is sniffing our Patreon membership. I need to make one for the Rockfin, right? Because I need to add that in there. But we're almost at 400 on Patreon. And if you'll just allow me 1 second to check on Rockfin, I mean, 30 is already amazing. I'm very grateful for you guys. Thank you so much. Let's just check over here 1 second. Wow. That's dope, man. We got 60 active subscribers. 60 of you. That's wonderful. So you're not just supporting me, you're supporting basically everyone on Rockfin. That includes all the others in Lefty Media. Thank you so much. That's awesome. And again, if you don't want to or can't at the moment, I totally understand, but go and make a free account on Rockfin. You don't have to you don't have to subscribe or whatever, or pay a monthly thing. You can make a free account. Definitely do that. Okay. Definitely do that, because we want to decentralize from YouTube. So thank you. Thank you so much. We also have, give me a second. Thank you, Twitch. I got your email. I'll read it when the stream is over, and I appreciate you hitting me up. Thank you so much. So, yeah, I mean, guys, that's basically, I haven't eaten yet today. So I need to go get some food, but I wanted to cover the $15 minimum wage scandal. You know, they're trying to basically tell you, fuck you. Actually, you know what? I'm going to cover it right now. So you remember Joe Biden said that he's going to give you a $15 minimum wage, right? Yes, he made this a pillar of his campaign. You know, even I was a bit surprised, I guess. I mean, we know Biden's a liar. He lied about nukes, so he'll lie about anything. But, you know, he took something from Bernie Sanders' platform, right? This was meant as some kind of compromise, perhaps. Like, yeah, okay, I'll give the peasants some crumbs. And, you know, he gets in office now, and I told you, I warned you that they were going to do this, right? They were saying $2,000 checks, but now they're $1,400, and we're going to get them. We got to do it with bipartisan support. We'll try with budget reconciliation. We'll try. And we'll maybe try to put the $15 minimum wage in there. And I told you they're not going to do the $15 minimum wage. I fucking told you. I told you maybe at best you'll get the check, which they've already shorted you with $600, but they're not going to do the $15 minimum wage. Lo and behold, what does Joe Biden do? He says, no, I'm not going to do it because I don't want to go against the Senate parliamentarian. The fuck? Who cares about the Senate parliamentarian? Just do it. What are you doing? No. We got to have bipartisanship. We need bipartisan support, right? Because Joe Biden cares more about the feelings of Republicans than he does about you actually earning a decent wage. And even $15, that's not really a decent wage if adjusted for inflation and productivity, worker productivity, which has skyrocketed. I mean, like, the prices have gone up, right? The productivity has gone up. Why are the wages so stinking low? How do you excuse that? There's no excuse for that. There's no excuse for that. You're being screwed. You're being exploited, right? I mean, it's that simple. I didn't pull the statistics out of my ass. It's widely documented that this is not just, you know, in the United States, but just worldwide. You've had an upwards transfer of wealth throughout the last 40 years. You know, for example, the richest 400 people in the United States right now, with their wealth, they can buy 20% of the United States economy, right? 20%. Think about that. That's outrageous. How do you explain that? How do you justify that? So anyway, he's screwing you over. So I just wanted to give you that quick bulletin update. Just let's cut to the chase. He fucked you. He lied. He's not going to upset the Republicans, allegedly, right? Because bipartisanship, and we don't want to go against the Senate parliamentarian, and we can't do that. No. Oh, okay, right. And of course, if you complain, that means you are a right-wing Trump supporter and a grand wizard in the KKK and every bad thing in the world to ever exist, right? So shut up and enjoy your shrunken relief check and be quiet and go back to work like a good citizen. Yes? Now we have a diverse cabinet. Shh. Same old shit as Trump, man. It's the same old shit. They're screwing you over so bad. I mean, if I were, God help me, if I were a progressive lawmaker, if I were in the squad, I would resign over this. Because, I mean, how many years are you going to stay in a party that shits all over every single platform, every single policy on your platform that you ran on? They don't want a Green New Deal, right? They don't want a $15 minimum wage. They're not going to fight for it. They won't go against the Senate parliamentarian who's an unelected person. Yeah, they're willing to appease corporations and the status quo and their fellow war criminals rather than actually do something for you, which is not even enough to begin with. It's a half measure. And you're letting down your constituents. Name one policy that they're on board with that you ran on. Where's Medicare for all? Do people even talk about that anymore? What is going on here? How do you justify being in a party that lies about stimulus checks, like that lies about numbers that a monkey or a child could figure out? Like, yeah, 1,400 is not 2,000. That's not the same thing. A monkey could figure that out. A monkey, a child, people, beings that have no concept or grasp of politics could figure out that something is wrong here. How do you justify that? Like, how little do you think of your own constituents that you tolerate this? Any self-respecting politician would have resigned, eons ago from such a party. They wouldn't have ran in such a party to begin with. It's despicable. You've had people resign from their parties over far less. This is scandalous. It's really scandalous. I mean, they're just scamming you out in the open. It's unbelievable. But we told you this would happen. I'm sorry you didn't listen, right? I told you Biden would fuck you. I told you he would fuck me. He would bomb Syria. He would continue all of Trump's policies, the sanctions, stealing the oil. I told you nothing was going to change. He told you himself. But no, according to Noam Chomsky and Cornel West and all of these intellectuals, Biden is the lesser of two evils. Really? Please tell me how he is for Syrians. Tell me. I'm really curious. Sanctions are here, stealing the oil, bombing us. What is different? Explain that to the working Americans. Where's the $15 minimum wage? Where's the $2,000 relief check? Weird. It's weird. I don't know. Maybe I'm not as smart as them. Maybe I don't get it. I don't know. So there you go, man. There you go. We got another a tip on Rockfin. Thank you very much. Emblem Fate says, can we team up with the Chinese, Russian, and Vietnamese Venezuelans? I've noticed neoliberals and neoprogressives back away from them. I say it's at least worth a shot to get more voices like that on our side. What do you think I'm willing to work? Would you think I'm willing to work with anyone to help the United States, even though it's outside it? Plus, I want to meet real socialists, not the fakes in Congress. Well, I mean, that's an interesting thing that you bring up, right? I mean, if you look at what I really admire, what I really like about, when you look at the civil rights movement, when you look at the Black liberation movement a few decades ago, you had there was an understanding that international cooperation, international alliances were really important, right? You had some figures from the Black Panther Party actually end up going to Algeria, right? That you had a visible solidarity from oppressed groups all over the world with each other. And I think that's great, because it's not just about policies and stuff. It's about our shared humanity. So I love that, and I think it plays into what you're saying. And the other point, that my point is, we need to revive that. We really need to revive that. And part of the reason why they demonize people from other countries is so that you can't have that avenue open to you, right? So the propaganda is so powerful, it gets to a point where, you know, people just automatically associate Venezuela, Iran, Syria with evil. Like, that's all they hear. That's all they fucking hear in the media. So it's conditioning, and it's horrible, right? They just, you know, you get human beings ending up hating other human beings in other countries they've never even been to for reasons they don't even understand. It's horrible, right? Because that's not the default state. That's the product of brainwashing. That's the product of propaganda. That's the product of imperialism. It's horrible. And yeah, definitely, there are no socialists in the United States Congress. That's an absurdity. That's like saying you have nuns in the Hells Angels. What are you talking about? It's just bullshit, right? That's just a marketing strategy that the Squad use and you know, the progressive wing of the Democratic Party to demark themselves while conning you into giving them donations. Into, you know, they even use independent media. They'll go on shows from independent media to, you know, recruit campaign support, to get donations. And then once they get into office, they don't know who you are anymore, right? Now they're with Nancy Pelosi. Now they're not interested in actually, you know, holding Democrats accountable. It's just a fucking con. It's a scam, right? It's unbelievable. I mean, it's sort of an advancement that you can actually say the word socialist in the United States. Wow. But nonetheless, it's still just a marketing gimmick because they're not real socialists at the end of the day. And it is not something about like, oh, you're not a real socialist, I'm a real socialist. No, it's you know, Democrats are fundamentally a right-wing party. It's not even, I don't know what to tell you. You know, if Democrats, you put that party in a Western European nation, that's, you know, you can even pick an ally of the US if you want, whatever, France or the UK. I mean, we're talking about right-wing conservatives by those standards. It's not even close. Like, it's just the debate, you know, the confines of debate and discussion are so narrowed now that, again, as I said, anyone slightly to the left of Republicans is considered a socialist, and anyone slightly to the right of Democrats is considered a Nazi, a KKK grand wizard, or whatever. It's absurd. They're all right-wingers. They're all fucking imperialists. They're all promoting white supremacy on a global scale. That's what the U.S. military is. It's not just, you know, yes, fundamentally it's about corporations and you know, it's a neocon agenda, but there's also an element of supremacy to it. I mean, you have to fundamentally believe that others are not as human as you to go and kill them and steal and plunder from them. How else could you do that? How else could you allow yourself to be a part of that government? And this applies not just to the US, by the way, but to any other government, whether we're talking about France or the United Kingdom, who've also done these similar actions for centuries, right? So there is an element of supremacy to it alongside the corporatism and all the shit, but they're all fucking right-wingers at the end of the day. So going back to your main point, yeah, you'll find, you know, real socialists in other countries. You're going to be far better off in that endeavor than you will be inside the confines of mainstream American political discourse, or perhaps, you know, I mean, Britain is slightly a bit better, but, you know, the establishment is fundamentally still controlled by right-wing agendas. So, and labor is decimated at this point. There's no labor opposition. They couldn't even win under Corbyn, unfortunately. What do you think they're going to do under Keir Starmer? Keir Starmer is a dream for them. He's just like, you know, he has the charisma of a fucking dusty bookshelf and none of the utility. So, you know, he's just there to serve the interests of the Tories and you know, the traditional British political establishment, right? He's a bastard. He's a former MI6. What do we expect? Was he MI6 or MI5? You know, MI5 is domestic and MI6 is foreign, but I can't remember. He's one of those, what's the word again for spies? Is it spooks or G-men? Whatever the UK equivalent is, I forgot. But he's a fucking, you know, member of the establishment and the intelligence community. Of course, he's not going to do anything remotely associated with helping workers. I mean, he's just been busy bending over backwards trying to whip the Labour Party into voting for, not voting, but abstaining and basically letting through any of the Tory agenda. You know, for example, the Spy Cops Bill, the CHIS Bill, which is basically legalizing crimes committed by undercover police, so they can just do whatever the fuck they want, and they will never be held accountable. They are legalizing, I'm not exaggerating, it's in the bill, I showed it to you, legalizing crime, as long as you're an undercover police. What could go wrong? I mean, let's be real here. They were already getting away with murder, so, you know. but it should scare you that they're making it legal now, even openly. And the media is not even covering this slightly. So you've had some developments with the case, but I'm not going to get into that now. I'm going to wait until some things are finalized with it, because it came back from the House of Lords with Chakrabarti trying to get some amendments through. We'll go into that again, but I've covered it before, so check on the channel. Just type Spy Cops or CHIS, C-H-I-S bill. And Overseas Operations Bill is another good one to look at. I've gone on such a tangent now, but I just wanted to agree with your initial points. So that's yeah. I hope that was sufficient and adequate. So just give me 1 second over here. Cinema Gorilla, thank you, thank you for the donation on Cash App. Says $1 for Eat on Stream King. Talk shit with us. What is that called again? I'm forgetting the Korean. It's Korean, isn't it? What do they call that again when you eat on camera? Something bang? Something. Hold on, I need to Google the name, man. Yeah, it's a wukbang? No. Is that really how you say it? I'm pretty sure I'm not pronouncing it correctly. But no, it's a hold on. Mukbang. Or mubang. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right. Anyway, someone please correct me. I apologize. I'm not. I can speak a couple languages. Korean is not one of them, unfortunately. But I should do that, right? And I appreciate the donation. I will honor your request perhaps another time, as I'm dropping at this point. But that would be cool, right? We should do a little eating session. Let's just sit down and do the same thing but with food, right? Why should we be tense? The news should not be tense. It's already bad enough, right? And I hate mainstream media because they always put on this like stress tense music before the show starts. You know, if you had the again, we shouldn't complain. We weren't actually in Iraq, right? I'm just saying, if you had the misfortune of watching the build up to the Iraq war, the BBC and Sky News, I mean, they still do it to a certain extent, but my memory of that is like, they'd always have this like, this like beat, like just before the news starts, like, get tense, citizens. The news of suffering is upon you in just a few moments. Like, no, the news is bad enough. Do not do that. All right. Anyway, so let's try and change that, right? I mean, that's my point. Thank you so much, Steve McNelly. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. Steve McNelly, thanks for the hard work, Richie. Thank you. I really appreciate that very, very, very much. I'm very grateful for your donation. Jarrett Trezo, again, I always hope I'm pronouncing your names correctly. I'm like trying to analyze what language could that be so I say it in the right pronunciation. Jarrett Trezo says, I just need a crab dance. Hey, I feel you. I really feel you. Somebody, look, if somebody signs up on Patreon, supports on Patreon or on Rockfin, I will definitely play a crab dance. Or on the GoFundMe. I think we used to do for the GoFundMe as well, right? There's a GoFundMe, so we're almost at our goal. I play crab dance for that. If you don't know what the crab dance is, you can learn today as you guys have before. Give me a second though. I can't see. I don't know who's saying this. It's not letting me scroll up, but do you think all the squad members are fake? Oh, it's AJR. Okay. Well, I mean, what do you mean by fake? Co-opted? Or they were dishonest from the beginning? I think it's more like they were co-opted. You know, I don't know. I'm not a psychic. I don't know, like, if someone's blackmailing them. I mean, God forbid, or whatever. But I think they've been co-opted, man. I mean, you got to put yourself in their shoes for a second, like just a second. Although I don't agree with this assessment, but perhaps I don't know. Imagine them. Imagine being in their shoes. Like you're elevated to such a privileged position, as Ro Khanna said. They're among the most privileged people in the world. Think of all the attention, the money. Well, they say they don't take corporate money, but still it has a lot of perks associated with it. I could imagine it's not easy as a human being in general. I think most humans would probably give in to that kind of environment. But again, if you go into politics, I think what they're going to try to do to you, right? They're going to co-opt you. And if you're not up to it, then don't fucking do it, man. And that's not an acceptable justification, right? You're sent there to fight for people who don't have those perks, who don't have those privileges. You shouldn't forget that, right? So I don't know what the answer is. But I can definitely tell you one thing, that they are insulating Joe Biden from criticism. I don't know why they're doing it, what the reality is. Again, I'm not psychic, but I think they've been co-opted. I think it's just like, they've gotten used to this comfortable position. Now you saw they want to run for re-election, and they have. And, they're not willing to sacrifice their careers for you. Let's just put it simply, right? Who knows? Maybe they think they can achieve change in the long term. I think that's bullshit. You're literally there now. What the fuck are you waiting for? Like, do you think people who can't pay the rent have time to wait for your fucking career to blossom? Like, that doesn't even make sense, right? Because when you look at how famous they already are, they have more reach than most people in Congress put together. I mean, I'm pretty sure most Americans don't even know 1/4 of their elected officials' names. I'm pretty sure. Right? I can't remember. You'll have to forgive me. I can't remember who published this study or whatever it was, but they concluded that after Donald Trump, AOC had the most reach on Twitter as a politician. I mean, that's substantial, right? Not just given that Trump is a loudmouth or was a loudmouth, but the fact that he's the fucking president. So, I mean, how can you say you don't have a platform or you're waiting for your career to whatever? You're already there. Do something. I mean, look at her. She gets 500,000 people on a Twitch stream. She hasn't said a fucking word about Syria. You're going to come here and tell me that's okay? That's not okay, man. That's bullshit. She's giving Joe Biden a pass to bomb my country. Fuck that. I'm not tolerating that. And you know goddamn well, even before that, I didn't tolerate inaction on your behalf, right? When it comes to Medicare for all, or this pushing Joe Biden left nonsense. She said, when talking about banning fracking with Jake Tapper, she says, I'm going to push Biden left once he's elected. It will be my privilege to lobby him, I think she said. And it's on CNN. Where is it? What the fuck? Where is that? Use your platform. Nope. No, they won't do it. Okay. Emblem Faces, check your Rockfin. I think I already did because you sent that a few minutes ago, but I'll check it again nonetheless. Thank you so much. Ross says, you're not psychic, Richie. I get the impression you might be. Shit, man, what gave me away? Is it the crystal ball? the yellow globe is actually secretly a crystal ball. No, it's not. Tony Lynn, thank you for the tip on Rockfin. I appreciate it very much. We also got a donation over here from hold on, it's loading. Matthew, thank you so much. Says, you're my favorite leftist. Anti-war left and anti-war right and anti-war center need to come together. I mean, look, man, I mean, anti-war is anti-war. I mean, it's funny, though, because there is no left. If we look at the American political climate or the British political climate, there's no opposition. So at this point, what I'm trying to say is, it's more of a ruling establishment class versus everyone else. That's really what it comes down to, right? Unfortunately. I say unfortunately because they're shitting on everyone. That's what I mean. All right. But yeah, I'm definitely on board with anyone else who is anti-war. I think that, opposing imperialism, this is a fundamentally human question, right? It's like having empathy with other people. I mean, I don't know anyone in Venezuela. I don't know anyone in Yemen, Libya. That doesn't stop me from thinking that, yeah, this is messed up. What's happening to them, right? So I think it's about having empathy, and this extends to everything, right? It's like how can you look at someone who doesn't have healthcare and be like, yeah, that's okay? It's not okay, right? No one should be without healthcare. There's nothing more valuable than health. So, yeah, I feel like that. I hate that Joe Biden and his goddamn team of neocon war criminals have started cheapening the word unity. But yes, we do need to have unity. Or let's just say we need to come together. Everybody who's anti-war, everybody's upholding human rights. Yes, I definitely agree with that. Although I've definitely seen some weird takes before. Like, for example, I had a conversation once with some guy who was telling me that he is against the UK bombing Syria, but only because he doesn't want Syrian refugees there. And I'm just like, wow, you're actually a bit racist, aren't you? But you're also half right. It's like, what are you supposed to respond to that? Like, okay, is this the woke right? What the fuck is that? You know, it just, wow. I don't know what to say. Anyway. Yes, those people actually exist. Weirdly enough. Anyway, so Taro Man, thank you for the super chat. Says Richie, an old school song from Aussie band about the news. So I don't think I'm afraid to play it because of the copyright. So I will put this aside for me, and I thank you very much. I'm glad you guys are appreciating the woke right comment. Yeah, and by the way, a guy from Britain told me that, right? So he's telling me, someone who's half British and also half Syrian, that he doesn't like. What does that mean? Oh. We were having a discussion about Brexit, by the way, right? He was trying to tell me why he supports Brexit or something. And if you recall Nigel Farage, this fucking clown, you know, he put out this racist, these racist billboards. Like it was a photograph of Syrian refugees. I mean, I don't know if they were all Syrian. There were also lots of people from Afghanistan, Somalia, etc. Yeah, guess what? People fucked by Western imperialism. Thank you very much. And it was just like a fear-mongering poster, like, oh my God, the EU is going to let them all in. Like, what? What does that have to do? Like, you can legitimately come up with arguments against the EU. You don't have to be a racist prick. You know that, right? And you can also, I don't think you have the right to complain about refugees that you fucking created. Like, how dare you, honestly? Also, the other guy, I just realized, like, that's such a dumb point. Like, as if the United Kingdom has never interfered in Syria before. You've already created refugees. It's too late. Like, it's so bad. You know, this is why people really need to. I mean, this is why schools really need to hammer home history, proper history, like not just the imperialist nonsense. So there you go. Vexil says you perfected saying it. Belta Loda. Pampao. I love these words, man. They're really good. So yeah, with that said, hold on. I'm trying to make sure I didn't miss no tips or nothing, man. You guys are so generous. I'm so grateful for you. I truly am. I'm really indebted towards you, and I couldn't do this without your support. Literally. So I think this one is from just a second. Molly, thank you so much for your tip on Rockfin. I don't think there was a note. And we also got one from Franklin. Thank you also, Franklin. I'm very grateful for that. I'm very, very grateful. And by the way, let me just repeat one more thing for you guys. As I said, make an account on Rockfin. It's free. And again, you're going to find Jimmy Dore there, me, Graham Elwood, everyone. Most of the channels you already watch. Try to watch the videos on Rockfin too. Like, I know YouTube sends you alerts, you know, Rockfin is still new, man. So, you know, YouTube was also really bad for a long time before it got where it's at. Rockfin is already making huge strides. So my point is just watch on Rockfin because there are no ads, first of all, and we get paid better. Do you feel me? So that's really important. And I'm not saying that for myself. I mean, go ahead and watch everyone else's videos. If not mine, and it's still going to be good for us as a platform and independent media because we don't want to stay always on YouTube. You feel me? And if you really want to help watch on both, I'd say, I don't know. But in any case, I'm very grateful. All of it helps. So thank you for that. All right, hold on. I'm just reloading this over here. Agala says, just discovered your channel. Keep up the good work. Thank you. Thank you. Scott Stevens. Scott, thank you so much for your donation. I don't think there's a note attached. No worries. I'm very grateful. Thank you so much. Man, it's really worrying when you look at the UK and the US right now, you know, it's really messed up because there's no opposition whatsoever. It's so, I don't even know what to say. You know, the United Kingdom, of course, has a bit more of a plurality. You know, you have Greens, you have Lib Dems, you have the SNP. You have a bit more than just two parties, but it's still very much in the hands between, you know, Labour and the Tories, right? Very much so. And now, especially with Keir Starmer, I mean, forget it. You saw what they did to Corbyn, right? You saw what they did to him, right? Because they just smeared him with this anti-Semitism stuff. The guy's been anti-racist, anti-imperialist his entire life, man. Like, you could not find a more anti-racist guy, and then they come along and accuse him of anti-Semitism. This is so absurd. And again, I did a whole bunch of reports on this, right? I did one for television. I was with Miko Peled, Chris Williamson. You really go watch that. It's really important, and it's called The Witch Hunt Against Jeremy Corbyn. Just Google it and put my name there too, so you'll find it. And now you have Keir Starmer who's in charge, and it's just horrendous, really. It's really horrendous. You have some people that are decent in Labour, like you still have, for example, people who voted against the Overseas Operations Bill or against the CHIS bill, and you know they refuse to be whipped into line. And then they're suspended, right? Some people still have a backbone. It's not like 100% like the Democratic Party, but in general, it's over. Like I don't see anything. I didn't see anything changing right now. That's horrible, and that's fundamentally why they got rid of Corbyn. It's not just because he's pro-Palestine and he's anti-racist. It's because he's a socialist, right? He actually wanted to do better for working class people, and I don't think you can compare to Bernie Sanders. I mean, yes, they sound similar in their rhetoric. You can go watch my coverage from late 2019, and their speeches were almost exactly the same. It's crazy. I'm not even kidding. Go watch. And yeah, like you have these two old guys who are trying to, you know, reform the government. But at the end of the day, man, Bernie Sanders, he cucked you. He cucked himself. Corbyn, man, that was much more evil what they did to Corbyn. You know, Bernie is still there. He's still like tolerated by the establishment to some degree. Corbyn, they really just fucking canceled him. You know, it's horrible. So anyway, I don't know why I just went on a tangent. Well, it's not really a tangent, but you know, when we look at things like Yemen, right, what the Saudis are doing there, I don't think that would have been tolerated under Corbyn. I'm pretty sure it wouldn't have been. That's why they got rid of Jeremy Corbyn. That's why they got rid of Chris Williamson, because they wouldn't have tolerated this shit. The UK selling weapons to Saudi Arabia and training Saudis. No way. But Bernie Sanders, you don't know, right? It's like, it's you know, he's going to be tolerating Israel at the very least, right? We know that. He'll say a few words, but foreign policy was never going to be a strong suit for him. No. Anyway, I'm not trying to bash them. I'm bash Bernie Sanders particularly. It's just I'm just a bit dismayed, a lot, that both of these countries that are running the world's affairs are now completely controlled by, you know, a united establishment that has co-opted both parties, right? They're completely under the control of the establishment. And when I say establishment, I'm talking not just corporations, I'm talking also, you know, the national security apparatus. And it's I don't think it's hopeless, but it's not looking good, you know? And I think my broader point is you can't get politicians to do anything for you just through electoral politics. You need to hit them where it hurts. That's the money. You know, it's logical, right? Why, if you go and ask anyone on the street in most countries, almost everywhere on the planet, do you trust politicians? Most of the people are going to tell you no. They're liars. Why are they liars? Because they're bought. Okay, so there's a financial incentive here. So to correct that, we need to get rid of it, right? You need to go to the money. Who's giving them the money? The corporations, right? Okay, so you need to withhold this money from the corporations. Who's creating this wealth? The workers. So if you can't go to the top, you can't affect directly the politicians and their puppet masters, the corporations. You need to do it from the bottom, the workers, right? They're at the start of the entire process. They're the ones creating the wealth. And when you go on general strike, when you do general strikes, you hurt their pockets. Why do you think Amazon immediately fired Chris Smalls when he was doing organizing that strike at Amazon over COVID? Like that was for a health measure, no less. It wasn't even like, I want better wages, which would be totally reasonable as well, considering how Amazon treats its workers. But it was like a public safety measure thing. And even then they're like, no, we're firing you. It's unbelievable, right? And they deaded that shit. And that's why you won't see any of that, because this is actually something that works, right? So instead you'll have politicians come along and they're saying, no, you need to reform the Democratic Party and we're going to hold them accountable and you just need to elect a few more progressives. That's not working, you motherfucker. That's not solving the problem. They don't listen to you. Your words don't mean anything. They only understand cash, so you need to deal with fucking cash. I mean, yes, I'm trying to simplify this as much as possible, but it's really not. They also try to make it out to be like extra complicated. Like, oh, we can do certain things. We can get you like these COVID relief checks, which we already reduced a bit, but we can't get this through budget reconciliation. And we can maybe do a little bit of crumbs here, but we can't really do that. And maybe wait another 50, 100 years until you have healthcare. Fuck you. Do they, man, when their corporate donors call them up, you think they tell them that kind of shit? They pick up immediately. They do what the fuck they want. Okay? There's no illusions or, misconceptions about who they answer to. So why should you tolerate that? You shouldn't tolerate that. No one should tolerate that anywhere in the world, right? Particularly if you're going to claim to be a democracy, right? which is always amusing, since the UK and the US are not democracies, right? When they pass laws like the Spy Cops bill, so that undercover police can just torture people legally and rape them and kill them legally without any accountability whatsoever, that's not a democracy, right? When you have the Overseas Operations Bill being passed so that UK troops can't be held accountable for war crimes, as if international law suddenly evaporates, that's not a government or a country upholding human rights. When you have Julian Assange being tortured in the middle of London, deprived of medical attention, deprived of his family, deprived of sunlight, deprived of his own winter clothes in his fucking jail cell, that's not, torturing journalists. That's not a democracy. That's not what liberal democracies do. That covering up war crimes, committing wars of aggression, starting in, wars that last 50 years, 20 years, whatever, just so you can make profits. Those are not democracies. This is just fucking fiction, right? It's fiction on both sides of the pond, unfortunately. And it's fundamentally a betrayal, not just of the people, the citizens of those countries. And, also mainly the main victims are the people that suffer sanctions, that are bombed, that are displaced. I mean, it's cruelty on another level. And it's never reported in the media on purpose, because, if most people really understood, really understood what refugees have been through or victims of war have been through. I mean, like, can you imagine your house just being fucking blown up all of a sudden? I don't even, I experienced one bombing in Pakistan when I was a kid, which I remember pretty well. And you go and read some of the things that happened to Palestinians in the Gaza war of 2014, and I can't even imagine that, right? It's something on another fucking level. Like, people talking about the living room, just like, and their family at the dinner table being swallowed into the ground before their eyes. What is that? And what happened to Iraqis? The checkpoint girl. Just Google checkpoint girl, right? So this is fucked up, man. I don't really know what my point is. I'm just really sick of this. So anyway, I think that wraps it up. Thank you for tuning in. We got a last super chat from Florin. Thank you so much, Florin. And we also got one from Silverback. Thank you. I appreciate that very much. I'm just rechecking in case because I don't want to miss anyone. So I'll go and rock for in a second. Thank you, Molly. I'm very grateful. Much appreciated. So with that said, thank you for tuning in, guys. All the segments will be up. You can also rewind the stream if I believe, although the beginning was significantly marked with technical difficulties. Yes. So got to do the BBC English, right? So yeah, we'll have to trim that out. I think, I don't know how to do that. I think there's a way. If not, just fast forward. Anyway, thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate it. If I may plug the show, I actually forget to plug the show sometimes. So you can donate on Venmo, CashApp, or PayPal. And this is how you support independent media. Because corporate media, well, we can't have them running around. So thank you so much for that. And if you'd be so kind, again, I implore you to sign up on Rockfin. It's free. You go to rockfin.com/RichardMedhurst to subscribe, and that will be $10 a month. You will get everyone's premium. It's really worth it. But again, you can also just sign up for free. You don't have to actually like do a monthly thing. So there you go. And what else is there? There's the Patreon, of course, although they take a slight cut, but hey, I'm not complaining. I'm grateful for all of your support. And last but not least, we have a GoFundMe as well. This is also in the description, which you can check out over here. We've almost hit our goal. You see, we're at 90% or something. We're almost there. And I thank you so much for your support. This is for the equipment upgrade. So, you know, basically an ongoing process since my computer is dead now. But anyway, that's a whole other story. And with that said, there's also the merch. You know, those, I know this is like the most boring plug ever, but I'm really tired, but I need to plug the show anyway. I appreciate you guys very much. If you want those war criminal Joe Biden, Uncle Joe's Rainbow Coalition Death Call t-shirts, the war criminal merch, you go to store.richardmedhurst.com and you're going to find that right there. And shout out to Mona for doing a lot of these designs. They're really dope. You should have seen the mock-up I sent her because I came up with this Uncle Joe's Rainbow Coalition Death Cult and I sent her like a really shitty version of it. With like it had all the elements, you know, the rocket, the Joe Biden with the ice cream, and she just pimped it out and it looks really good. So there's Hillary Clinton war criminal merch if you're interested. We got the badass lion over here, right? Leos, shout out to the Leos. There's Chanclas for all, got all the war criminal team over here, and of course this is the hot one right now. I think you guys sold out the hoodies. Well done. I still haven't got one for me, but that's okay. And yeah. Uncle Joe's Rainbow Coalition Death Cult. If you want to get one, store.richardmedhurst.com. That's all. I don't think we've had a single crab dance today, which is a bit disappointing for some of you because you asked for one. But no one signed up on Rockfin or Patreon, but that's okay. We'll get to it another time. No worries. Anyway, with that said, have a good night, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. I will catch you guys later. And thank you so much for supporting independent journalism and tuning in. Make sure to like the video and leave a comment. See you next time. Ma salame. Bye-bye.